Can I show you something?
Yeah.
Watch this. Hold on to it.
I am writing a letter to the education minister because it have certain things going on, and I wonder if he is aware. Everybody running their mouth and talking school children bad, and the things they're saying, I mean, as man, I just get real mad. I admit that it have a few, but some teachers doing wrongs too. So is this a case of do as I say, but don't dare to do as I do? Punctuality should be one of our watchwords. So they want me if the just put up time. Yeah. Oh, and they putting me out the gate. Some teachers come into school late. So why condemn me, Mr. Minister?
When I'm just following the footsteps of my teacher.
And the crowd going off. The pause reason. I remember it like if it were yesterday.
That is when you have a message that is powerful, you know?
The business side of the music industry is like the below water part of an iceberg. We can see the top side, the performances and all else that is visible, but few get to see what's below the waterline. Yet, the business side is what keeps everything else afloat. Without a strong, effective business model, few artists can achieve or sustain success. These are words written by the one and only Lady Montano from her book, King of Soca. And to the left of me, I have that gentleman here, the King of Soca, the one and only Machel Montano.
Enough respect.
I also have his manager, and my brother, who I've known for almost 20 years now at this point, 20 years.
Nice, yeah.
Che Kothari. Now, the reason why I wanted to start with that is because I don't think there's anybody that I could talk to in the business of music that has the world of experience that you do. You've been doing this for 43 years.
Yeah.
I was talking to Che and I'm like, where do we even start with this conversation? Because there's a lot here. But what I think I have to start with is with those words of Lady Montano, who is your mother, right? What was it like to be managed by your mom and your father, Monty, for, well, your mother for almost 30 years?
Yeah.
What is that like to have that kind of family making sure that you were protected? Because it's very rare.
It's rare when you choose music as your business and you have your family support, especially your parents.
Yeah.
You know, because especially where we come from in the Caribbean, it was always seen that education is the way out. You know, especially when you're born in poverty or you're born, you know, lower middle class like us, and you're trying to become something, education is always the way out. So to have your parents support you is rare. It's a blessing. It was a blessing for me, definitely. But just to go back to the words that you read from the book, you know, about seeing that little tip of the iceberg and not seeing the rest below the waterline. For me, that really reads as saying people feel music is fun.
Right.
People think, you know, singing music and performing on stages and becoming famous is fun. And they see the creative part of it. And they all have the enthusiasm to go there and make songs and dress up nice. But they fail sometimes to understand that there is a business that needs to be the foundation. Structure, knowledge, experience. You need that sort of knowledge about how to become successful at what you do, how to develop your skills. So for me, my parents, not only were they supportive, but they were also aware that, you know, you have to develop a skill. You have to have education. And they kind of put those pillars at the forefront of our journey. They made sure we did good in school. There were rules that you could do music all you want. Once you come home and do your homework and get school out of the way, then you can rehearse. And they would sit there with us and watch us rehearse and be a part of it. But they also said, you know, two other pillars were you have to develop your skills. So you have to learn to sing, go for background vocals, learn some chords on the guitar, learn music theory on the piano, you know, do some drumming paradiddles to know rhythm. They made sure that was happening. And then they taught us about making money and saving money. You know, that was important. And you know, from there they would give us books about the recording business and the music business.
Really?
But it was, from very early we were reading books about
business
music, yeah.
I think one of the things that you always talk about, Monty saying, is about the clock in, clock out.
Well, that was, I mean, this is the
Later?
beginning,
Okay,
but later on, when I decided I wanted to drop out of school, my mom was crying.
Right.
Because she was like, no, you have to have an education. But I was sure that I didn't need backup because I was taking it very seriously.
And they were teachers as well, too.
But they were school teachers.
Yeah.
But he said to me the most significant thing. He said, know that if you're going to be that, you're not going to clock your card at 8 or 9 and clock out at 5 or 4. You're going to be going, you'll decide your hours. What you put in is what you'll get out. So, you know, from a very early age, I'm saying they had the support, which was rare. But they also had the understanding that the tip of the iceberg might be the fun and the joy and the laughter and the fame, but there needs to be a lot of foundation set in terms of knowledge, you know, discipline, and of course, dedication.
What's up, everybody? It's Mauricio Ruiz, founder of the Manager's Playbook. If you've seen the podcast, you know I talk a lot about how the music business really works. Not the theory, but what it actually takes to build a career that lasts. Listen. I spent over 17 years working behind the scenes with artists, managers, and teams, helping them make smarter deals, build systems, and grow careers that actually scale. And there's one thing that I've learned. Most people aren't lacking talent. They're lacking a playbook and someone to help them execute it. That's why, for the first time ever, I'm opening up the Manager's Playbook Mentorship Program. A hands-on program where my team and I personally help you get clear on your strategy, build real momentum, and make better business moves in the next few months. Now, if you're serious about taking your career or your artist to the next level, this is your chance to work directly with us. Spots are limited, so don't wait. Click the link below, learn more, and book your call today. Let's build your playbook together. Now back to the pod.
When did you start to understand that was necessary? Do you remember at what age?
I mean, my mom didn't let me not understand that. You know, she was like, at a very young age, I started watching things like Solid Gold and seeing the Police with Sting and seeing Dionne Warwick and, you know, the Michael Jackson and the Sade, seeing them performing. And I was like, yeah, I want to be part of this lights, camera, action technology. But my mom would enter me into calypso competitions and she would clear the living room. She would clear the living room, put up a mic stand, say this is the stage, sit in the audience and make you rehearse your words over and over and over. Then she'll start creating actions. If you have to say reading, you have to look like you're reading.
Oh, wow.
If you have to say writing, you have to pretend you're writing. So very early, it was a drill.
Wow.
You know, and I knew that was something that was giving me the edge over people that were around me.
So I spent like 4 hours with her yesterday.
Yeah.
And I got a 101 in the business of Machel Montano, and it was incredible to talk to her. But she also said something that she realized really very early on was you were the kid who not only were you putting on a show, but you were the performer, you were the host, you were the guest, you were the audience, you were the judges. You were everything in that show. So she realized from very early on, he takes it very seriously and his mind is thinking in a different direction.
Yeah. And I think, you know, things like that, as I grew older, I think you kind of come into your life with things like that from maybe past lives. So, you have that special thing. It's your calling for some people to see it in layers.
Yeah.
And see the multiple layers and know the levels that have to be happening. I mean, for me, I was always more interested in how do they get all these instruments onto a record? how do they get these sounds there? How do they get all these band members to sound like one piece of music? So I was into technology, which took me into producing,
Right.
which took me into how to record. So I became versed in multiple disciplines in the music business from a very early age.
Yeah, you were very much interested in the technology side of
Yeah.
things, right? Can you tell me what is the influence that Ashford Joseph had in your life?
The influence of Ashford Joseph was very special. I think I was blessed because first of all, he was a music teacher, but he was blind.
Right.
He was very gifted with the guitar, with his lyric writing, and he took an interest in me. You know, he said, you know, here's this kid trying to learn do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But he was like, you think you want to sing in the school choir? And I was just like, okay. And then he was like, you think you want to sing calypso? And I'll write the calypso. I was like, okay. But he was very, when I look back on it now, you know, he would pretend that he could see. So like my mom would pull up in her car and he'll be standing on the side of the road with somebody helping him. But he will move away from that person, come to talk to her, and she'll be in the driver's seat, but he'll be talking in the back seat. So, so there was always something about him that was like, you know, unique. And he was special, and he would write these great songs. So I felt like early in my life, I had a sage with me, kind of guided my lyrics. The first song he wrote for me called, The Now Generation.
Okay.
It was very, you know, it was a message to the young men and women of the nation about what they will do with their education and how they're going to give back to their country. And then the second song was about writing a letter to the Minister of Education to say, you know, don't blame me for how I am. I'm just following the footsteps of my teacher. So he was just putting messages into my work and, you know, giving me the opportunity to think about things seriously, perform it at a high standard. And I feel that was more than the average music teacher. And I think that was a blessing for me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about the letter,
Yeah.
I mean, that was one that put you on the map in many ways. I mean,
Big.
yeah, and it's just crazy to me to see that a 7-year-old kid actually affected change in the educational system over here. So much so that, from what I read, you know, the president at the time of the school board was upset with the fact that there's a 7-year-old who's criticizing.
Yeah.
But then but you change something in the system where people then become more accountable to coming to their school at the time.
It was humorous that this young kid was saying it, and the lyrics were funny, which Ashford wrote. But it was very weird to see such a little child taking on such a big topic. And I guess I had these like old man mannerisms, they would say. He was like, look like an old man already, you know, the way he handled himself. But I was on business and I was trying not to upset my mom because I'd make sure I hit all the points and do all the actions, you know. So I guess all those things coming together kind of like, you know, made it a standout thing. And in 1984, I was already invited to Madison Square Garden with all the greats like Sparrow and Lord Kisha because of that song and that performance.
Can I show you something?
Yeah.
Watch this. Hold on to it. This is maybe
But
watching. Watch it, look at it.
Some teachers coming to school late. So why condemn me, Mr. Minister, when I'm just following the footsteps of my teacher? And she's singing word for word. And we can sing word for word. That is when you have a message that is powerful, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you're going through that process, and then you go and you do Too Young to Soca. I mean, that becomes another pivotal moment there, right? Can you walk me through that time there if you can remember?
So
and it's crazy to me, sorry, not to cut you off, it's crazy to me that I've read that you have a vivid memory of all these things as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I have like weird memories, things that I would remember clearly.
Yeah.
But I also, you know, I listen back to interviews of the things that I'm saying at 9 years old that I'm doing now.
Wow.
But I couldn't think about who is that person thinking those things back then.
Right.
You know, it's strange. But in 1984, once the letter broke and I started traveling and you know, being side by side with the mighty Sparrow and the Lord Kitchener, people started to notice that this is a young kid. Why is he not in school? In the Caribbean, it wasn't like the Jackson 5 or the Osmonds, it was like, why is he not in school? And that became an issue. And then the Calypso tents wanted to hire me to sing that song in the tent. And I wanted to take my band along. So it was a big controversy about going into the tent as a child, bringing your own band of these young teenagers.
Yeah.
And, singing on weekends, of course, but people were like, this is no place for them. And they started saying, he's too young to soca. He's too young for this. And now with our awareness, we was like, yo, too young to soca, that's a big topic. So we went to the best songwriter in the business and asked to write a song called Too Young to Soca. And this was the guy who was writing for Sparrow and Baron and all the big names. Mm-hmm. And then that was another hit. That was taking it from Calypso within 2 years, 84, 85, 86, straight into soca and taking over the soca world with a global soca hit. Attracting people like Eddie Grant and, taking it to Star Search. So we really went quick. We went fast. And it was a necessary transformation because I wanted to drive the more sportier vehicle. Calypso was like the Chevy Malibu or the old school Chevy.
Oh, my friends gonna be pissed. We used to be in his Malibu in high school. But I hear you.
And it was like jumping into the Ferrari. Like soca music was a more, nimble and agile vehicle, I felt, for somebody young like me. And that was a quick transformation, but it was the right decision back then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, you went to, was it that you won a Junior Monarch?
Junior Calypso Monarch.
Calypso Monarch, that was from Too Young to Soca?
84, that was the letter. Yeah.
And then in 86 you won.
Yeah, I lost to a girl in 85.
Okay.
And that was a big lesson because my mom taught me how to lose. So in coming off of a high win and losing, she made sure that lesson was established in 1985. Know how to lose.
Yeah.
Hold your head up. Shake the opponent's hand who won, be graceful, wish them well, but go on to the next thing.
How important is that lesson, learning how to lose? Because in this business, I feel like you're constantly taking L's.
For sure.
It's just L after L, right? But then when you get the win, it can be a big win.
But
sure. It derails a lot of people, I feel like, if they don't feel like they got the thing to happen the way that they felt it was supposed to. How important is that lesson in this business?
6 wins in a bag of L's is a good number.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan says it, the best. And I was watching a documentary today talking about football. It's only a loss if you don't learn anything from it. If you don't learn anything from that loss, then it's a loss.
Yeah.
But if you learn something, then it's knowledge, it's experience, and it is probably some sort of information that will take you to your next win. You'll know what not to do. You will know what you could come up against. You'll know how to maintain your composure when you feel like you're getting beat.
Yeah.
And just the integrity of not being a sore loser is what my mother and, they taught us. And that really went a long way that, other people have to win too.
Right.
You can't win all the time. But you can practice. Excellence is a habit. You can learn how to be excellent. And most of the times that will bring the win.
Does that inform when you go to Star Search and they tell you can do this R&B record and American record, or you could do Too Young to Soca, you stood by your ground and you said, I want to do my record, right?
Well, for sure. I always thought I had the worst Yankee accent. I can't do like Rihanna and put on an American accent. I can't. I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
I'll sound like what we call a freshwater Yankee. And I do try sometimes, but I just didn't feel comfortable singing R&B.
Right.
And I felt like the decision, and I say this, back then, I was introduced to the voice in my head, which I feel is a spiritual thing, which I think back then I thought it was God, that voice in your head, that thing that's with you, and I still see it as God. Mm-hmm. Something that will tell you what is the decision you should make. You have to trust your instinct, trust your intuition, listen to that voice. And sometimes you have one on this shoulder and one on this shoulder. You have to know which one is the one to choose in which situation. So I think that, I was just going for what felt more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I knew I was gonna lose. I was almost certain because I had
Really?
watched. Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I could feel it. People didn't understand in the rehearsals. They didn't understand what the music was. You know, it wasn't
Okay.
what was happening. I had kind of glanced a little bit of Star Search before to see what it was like. And it was just like, you're going to either hit or miss.
Right.
But more likely miss.
Right.
And it was that.
But you still brought it. I mean, like, I think that's one of the first times that North America gets to hear that music, right? So
Yeah,
it's
man.
It's a critical moment
For
as
sure.
well. I mean, not only for being able to hear soca for the first time in North America, but also just like for you to stick by your guns and say, no, this is the way that I want to position it. When you're going through this journey, right? And then now at this point, I think you're a young age, Panasonic Express is starting to take shape,
Yeah.
right? And how important is that team dynamic, making sure that everybody's on the same page? Because I think, as we talk about the manager's playbook, we talk a lot about the managerial role, right? But just making sure that everybody's on the same page, going in the same direction to ensure that the vision is being carried out the way that you want it to be carried out.
Well, first of all, you have to understand, I had the opportunity of being a solo act. And very early on, just like the boys in school, when there's a school competition, 3 guys will come and say, yo, let's go together, because you're really scared to go by yourself.
Yeah.
I had understood what it was to be out there by myself, but I wanted a team. I always wanted a team because in the back of my mind, I felt like, again, what I was seeing on Solid Gold were the bands, the lead singer, the drummer, the keyboard player, and I felt like I needed that.
Okay.
So I established a band which was Panasonic Express early. I had other lead singers. I was really the keyboard player.
Right.
But my lead singer, who was Farmer Nappy, he was getting girls. And I was like, whoa, he getting girls? Move this keyboard to the side and went out there, started to get some girls. And it was based on that. That was good enough. But then quickly you learned that somebody had to lead. So I think leadership, when you talk about vision,
Yeah.
I had to really get into being a leader early and start organizing everybody and making them understand, okay, we got to dress a certain way, we have to dance a certain way, we have to perform a certain way, we have to sound like this. And I just feel like that came naturally to me.
How old were you when you started being that?
Could be around 12, 13. I was already trying to assemble what we should be doing and how we should be doing it, what songs, and I was also DJing from a very early age.
Okay.
One of the guys you would see with us is a Rasta DJ who'd been like a road manager
Soul?
with us. Soul.
Yeah.
Soul was there, and Soul used to leave me in his DJ room and go to work at the oil company and leave me in the room and say, okay, just make sure everything, and I will go through all the records and play with the echo chamber and start trying to mix turntables, and I learn about music in there, and I learned what it should sound like.
Yeah.
So I wanted to lead the group about how we should sound, what kind of songs we should use in our song, because in the back of my mind also, I learned an early lesson at the age of 11 when I was still singing calypso, because Too Young to Soca came about at the end of 11 going into 12. And I was very skeptical about, okay, well, where are my peers, because
Right.
it was just seeing all these old people in felt hats and 3-piece suits and canes saying, yeah, the boy good, man, he could sing calypso. I wanted to know where were my peers, where were the young people? And we went to the club, but they were listening to hip hop and R&B and New Edition
Here.
and here in Trinidad.
Interesting.
They were lip syncing Belle Biv DeVoe and what was that group? I got the power.
Yeah.
CNC Music Factory and
Yes.
and that was a hip thing, Buju Banton. And I was like, wait a minute. I went and I sang a calypso and the whole place got quiet. I was almost booed. They turned their backs. It was like if they didn't like it. So at 11, I was like, well, why do they not like their own culture?
Right.
And quickly the answer came to me that it's not hip. It's not sounding like the songs that these other songs sounding like, and the fashion about these other songs and the youthfulness about it. So I immediately at that age went backstage and realized in my mind, just like the Star Search moment,
Yeah.
that I had to make the music sound hip. So that was part of the leadership and my vision with the band and knowing how to tell everybody what to do and how to take charge and share that vision that we need to change the sound. We need to sample things from these records. We need to buy a a Macintosh computer. I had a Macintosh with the floppy drive on the stage with Cubase at
Amazing.
age 14 or 15.
It's amazing.
We need to buy a Casio CZ10 because that's what Teddy Riley using to sample. And in 1991, we bought one. So it was always technology and watching what was happening in the outer world and bringing it to this.
How are you discovering this in 1991? But this is pre-internet, right? Like, how are you figuring out that Teddy Riley is using this versus
TV, interviews, magazines, you know, just.
You're obsessed.
I don't know how. I guess it was pulling me.
Yeah.
And I was like paying attention. They say, you know, I always have this saying, once you pay attention to life, life will pay attention to you. So I pay attention to things and I was trying to be better, trying to break the code and make young girls come on the front line for soca songs.
Okay, so how did you get that to happen where you got the youth to come in and start to accept soca?
Right, well, that was a trick. I realized they like dancehall music and I realized they like hip hop music. So our band, we started learning the best dancehall songs, the best hip hop songs. And with the technology that we had, we would sample pieces of it so we would sound very close to it. And nobody was trying to do that in our culture. They were all playing big band music. They were all playing their own music, calypso and soca and, you know, ballad music. But nobody was trying to mimic that hip hop and that R&B and that dancehall as a live young band. So I started doing that, and what we'll do is we'll have a show, and you know the bass player used to always say, "Sing your own songs. Why you don't want to sing your own songs?" And I used to be like, "Because people hate it. I don't want to sing it." So then I started doing something where I sing a song that people like a reggae song, like a Garnet Silk.
Yeah.
And when I have the crowd up there, I would drop one of the calypsos that I thought could blend with it, could share the same message or had the same beat or the same key, and I would fuse it. And by the time they realized it was calypso and they start stiffening up, I drop a hip hop song that had a vibe that connected to it. So I was keeping them like bubbling and interested. And then eventually I realized, wait a minute, maybe I should make songs, soca songs with hip hop influence, dancehall influence. Fast forward to me working with Red Rat, Beanie Man, Shaggy, start working with people like Dougie Fresh, Oyster Men, just Pitbull, trying to collaborate and, you know, push the envelope of what soca is and make soca look like it is aware of what is happening out there.
Yeah.
And you know?
Well, I mean, when I went and I listened to Heavy Duty, I can hear, because you went to Ohio to be a recording engineer. I mean, you know sonically exactly what you're trying to hear. But I will say this, and because I am a connoisseur of music as well, but when I really listen to Heavy Duty and I listen to Big Truck and the other records that were happening here in Trinidad, sonically, the feeling is there. I get it. But sonically, what you did with Big Truck and that album, night and day compared to anything else that was happening in 96 and 97. The sound was just so crispy and clean.
And there's a lot behind that Big Truck record, not just sonics, because first of all, I never wanted to be a singer. I never wanted to be a star.
What?
I never wanted to be famous.
Yeah.
I loved the technology. I used to watch Guns N' Roses with the lasers and the lights and the smoke. And I used to be like, yo, I want to be there. And then I would watch the instruments that they would use and I'd be like, yo, I want those. The electronic drums, I'd be like, yo, we need that. And I would spend all the money on all my parents' money on what we made, buying things and having things. And, you know, and then I started to want to be a recording engineer because I wanted to understand. I love being in the studio. I love creating music, you know, being with people who create music. So that was it. So Big Truck happened in 1996 when the Bajan invasion was happening. And it was also something big in Trinidad and Tobago, which was the Kiskadee Caravan, where people like General Grant and these young kids with super producer Shell Shock doing a sound that was really original and really hip, mixing soca and calypso with hip hop and dancehall, and it was crazy. And I was like, yo, why am I not in this mix? Barbados coming heavy with Alison Hines and Crossfire, Kiskadee Caravan, and I was like real frustrated. I was like, nah, I need to make it also. So I told my team, we're going in, we're gonna build a studio, we're gonna live in New York, and we're not gonna come out until we had a record that could rival these movements that was happening. And a lot of them were like, yo, I don't have time to be in the studio going through drum machines and sounds, and I want to have a children of mine. And I begged them, just sit with me for 3 months. And we actually stayed in there for 9 months in New York.
I was gonna say,
I was also going through a spiritual transformation because I was, you know, coming away from girls and alcohol, and I was just clean for 9 months. No intoxicants, no visitors. I was by myself in the studio, locked in all day, just listening to music, and they would come and meet me and leave me there. And I would be there maybe 23 of the 24 hours a day.
oh, that's meditation is starting from there.
Yeah, and I was over songs like Pretty Girl. I was over Wine Up Boy. I wanted to use samples. You know, Pretty Girl was inspired by Papa San and this one and that one. And I was just locked in on making a huge record. And I wanted to win Road March. And I was like, what is the biggest thing in the Carnival business? And it just went into my head, the Big Truck. So it was Big Truck, Pretty Girl, Music Farm, but it was that effort of locking everybody in, building a studio, having the experience of being a sound engineer so I could do everything for myself, sitting there and really wanting to be part of what was happening and be a hit. And it happened. I told them if we didn't succeed in 97, we'll go back in and not come out until we made it happen. But we made it happen that year.
In 97.
Yeah.
Yeah, staying in New York all that time.
Yeah.
What are you thinking when you're hearing all this, man?
I just sitting here always like reflecting on our journey too. You know, I get to be a witness. Right now I'm just sitting here as a witness, you know, to a greatness. And to, you know, be around that all the time. It's something I aspire towards, greatness and excellence and always pushing things forward, and having someone who's been doing it for so many years. I'm just here as a student listening, you know, that's what I'm thinking.
That's basically you operating it as a student all the time. And I mean, the relationship over here is incredible and is strong. I mean, you and I have had multiple conversations about this, about, you know, the spiritual journey that you guys have gone on and going on, can continue to go on. But I find it, what I love about this, and something that, you know, when you talk about 1997, I understand, you know, I think you signed to a label. That doesn't work. You do Come Dig It?
Yeah, it was 95, I signed the Come Dig It.
That's a hard record,
deal.
though.
Yeah, hard.
Bro, this shit's hard.
We should bring it back right now.
I was playing that,
Hard.
and I was like, this can, 2025?
We can rock that.
That sounds amazing in 2025. I was like, this is an incredible record.
And that again was trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if Soca gonna go into that, I went to study sound engineering school in Ohio.
Yeah.
And I understood how to manipulate everything. I worked with a music producer, and I said, okay, come, we're gonna make a record and try to break the market. House music, 4 on the floor.
Right.
And then records like Robin S. You got to show me. So I did dum, 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 with the organ bass. And then Shaggy had O Carolina, dum, kick, kick. So I put harps. I mixed dancehall, house, disco music. I just put everything in there and trying to make this record that would have made something. And that it worked to a certain point.
Yeah.
But it wasn't it, because I was out there touring with a DAT machine and 2 dancers.
Very foreign to you, yeah.
And I left my band home, and that was uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't happening, you know, and I didn't feel I could live to the idea of making that a formula.
Yeah.
And I came back home, 96 with the band, had a little mental crash, which took me off of drinking and smoking, and then I just went in with the band members and said, guys, let's go in and you know, and really, really make this Big Truck record, and then 97 take off.
When you're going through that down period, right? Because I don't want people to think that, you know, since you were 7 years old, it's just been like this. This is the journey of an artist, an entrepreneur, a business person in the music. It's like this, and it goes like this.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it goes, you know, there's a lot of that. So like, what is it that, if you were to offer advice for people who are trying to get through those lows, how does somebody get through that?
Electricity is AC/DC. AC/DC, AC/DC. Day and night.
Yeah.
Yin and yang.
Yeah.
Right? When you're going down, if you know how to go down, if you're going down like scared and you're bracing and you're mashing too much brakes. But if you know just to apply the right brakes, you know, some vehicles now you could do assisted descent, hit a button and it will let you go down. You know how to embrace the down and use the energy of the down to give you momentum coming back up. Every down is the beginning of an up.
Right.
But it's how you approach the down. If you approach it down stumbling and falling and hitting your head and crying about it, no, but approach the down like how lady taught me to take the loss. Take the loss with dignity, take the loss with pride, learn a lesson, but go down with grace and understand that, okay, I can catch some sort of kinetic energy, some sort of momentum that will take me to the next up and learn something. Study something in the downtime.
So I was gonna say, you're working on yourself.
Sharpen the skills, hone the tool in the downtime, learn something else. You know, so in 1996, we had nice records, Take a Borrow, but it wasn't hits. But I knew that wasn't it, so I knew we had to go in. 1999, hit. 1997, Big Truck album. Then we kept that momentum going with Toro Toro and 98 and the next big record, Footsteps and all these songs. And then by the 99, we started drinking and hanging out with girls again and forgetting
what
the
got
grind,
you there,
what got us there. And we went and crashed.
I would just add to that, like, sometimes you could plan it down, right? And it's good to plan it down. Be conscious a few years ahead and saying, okay, this is my cycle, right? I'm going on a cycle and I'm gonna go, lots of artists do it. They'll be on a album cycle and then they go retreat. And you might call it a down. People might look at it in the industry as a down, but that's a reflective period of going inward. You know, one person was sitting with Machel and I, and they were like, yo, you've been in the marketplace for too long. It's time to go up to the mountaintop and harvest and come back down to the marketplace with new fruit, right? So sometimes you have to plan that. If you're running low on all your fruit in the marketplace, it's time to go back up and harvest and plant new seeds, grow new trees, and then come back when you're ready. So it doesn't have to be looked at as a bad thing. If it's unintentional and unconscious downs, then it can lead to something like that. But if you're planning it from ahead,
it's actually the natural thing. Because nobody don't want to be on all the time and you wouldn't survive. Sometimes you need to go in and replenish and rest and recover. And as I say, my dad said, you're clocking your card for yourself. So I thought my interpretation was all right, well, I'll work 24 hours a day. What you put in is what you'll get out. But working 24 hours a day made me crash in 1996. So eventually you have to learn, okay, pace yourself. Do this amount of work and do this amount of work.
It took you 12 years to crash, by the way.
When his dad, Monty, told him that, I think he was saying balance. Like he was saying, yes, what you put in, what you'll get out. But also, when you have a job, you go 9 to 5 and then you get to go home, right? In this time, you have to plan, okay, I'm gonna stop working. I'm gonna go do something else leisurely and not always be working. So he was trying to give that lesson too.
For sure. I think some artists feel like that's almost impossible to do because when the creativity's on, it's on. Right? And then I think things are changing a little bit now, but maybe not because, artists it's kind of this gamified way of approaching music.
The creativity is never always on.
Right.
There'll be times
the industry would love for you to have it on at all times.
But you could
go make the other hit. Take
this medicine to keep you going.
Right.
My technique is, lean on others. So my trick has been, over the years, if my creativity low, even if it's not low, I will always encourage the young people to come and work with me. Show me your ideas. I'll give them my platform. I'll make them ride with me. I'll help them in the studio. They'll get studio time. But show me some new ideas. Show me some new things. And that way, you don't always have to be the one with all the ideas on. You can work with a team.
Absolutely.
And that's the strength about having a strong team and people who have their own ideas and their own, visions too that you can share.
You know what I love about that, by the way? You don't talk about this much, but I'm going to talk about it. But you have given so many opportunities and so much love to so many younger artists throughout your 43-year career. And I know you don't talk about it. You're not boastful. It's for other people to talk about. But I want to talk about it because I think it's so important to give back to the community. Some people might think that it's that you're trying to take from but how is that even possible when you are providing, as you said, your platform? If I'm taking you in and I'm showing you things. It's an equal exchange. And then what you do with it, that's on you. You can't guide it all the way, but you provided so much opportunity, even with the company that you guys have created in 2017, to provide services, record labels, to putting out records, hundreds of millions of streams just through that. It's incredible work that you've done. And like, that's a massive part of your career that you never talk about.
I mean, that's how our parents taught us coming up. Our house was always a house where everybody could come, eat, make music, be taken care of, get managed. So it was always about helping and working with other people and giving others the opportunities that we were blessed to have.
Yeah.
I have learned over the years there is no win-win in that scenario, because sometimes you help people and they will think you're not helping them the way they want you to help them or enough. Sometimes you help them, some people think you can help them become a star. You can't really help somebody become a star by yourself. They have to put in work too.
100%.
And not everybody willing to put in the work. And then, there's a narrative going around in many circles right now that, we don't do anything for the younger artists, but I like my work to speak for itself. People like Patrice Roberts,
right?
People like Farmer Nappy, people who I know I spend a lot of time and emotion and, dedicated attention to, trying to share with them what I learned. I could look back and be very proud of them. I could be very proud of not only their catalog, but how they carry themselves, their work ethic, their business ethic. I could look at it and see that this is something that I know I had a part to play in. So I don't really like to have to say it or prove it. I like to sit back and watch it and let people say, because people are gonna say what they're gonna say anyway. If you're not doing it the way they think you should do it. And then there's a lot of direct influence and indirect influence, because I know the things that I've created to make soca work, and I could see it replicated in multiple artists. I could see things that I created and things that I made up and put there and do being, copied and repeated and working for everybody else. So I just sit down and feel proud. I don't really need to, gratify myself from that. It is in there, I feel it, but there's always more to do. So I'm busy with doing more and trying to keep doing that for more people than really looking back on what I've done.
It reminds me of somebody from our hometown, going through the same thing.
That's why we're working together.
We have a special relationship, and I know you didn't reach here, but I had my parents manage me for a long time.
Yeah.
And when I had that opportunity, I've been signed a couple of times, because after the 97 signing, the next big signing was in the year 2000 to Atlantic Records. And there was this older cat who wanted to manage me, and he said, if I get you a record deal, will you let me manage you? And we were like, yeah.
Oh.
And he was able to walk me into the office of Ahmet Ertegun, who signed Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin, and he was actually talking to me like, yeah, Machel, I like what you do. This is an 80-something-year-old man in a sock tie, those ties that look like socks, in Atlantic Records, top floor, saying, I see what you do. You know what we're going to do? We're going to send you to London to work with Craig David, that two-step music. And he was really into it. He was like, yeah, because just like me thinking the house music will work, he was like, soca could work with the two-step beat.
Right.
But this guy got me in the room with the Ahmet Ertegun. I was feeling like this is a dream. But very quickly, when the record deal was not working and they would not, take my lead as to listen to soca and try to make soca, and it wasn't working, I'll never forget being out there in London, certain of failure. It's really hard to know you're trying to make this record and break soca music, and the whole Trinidad and Tobago and Caribbean looking at you, but you're going to fail because it's not working out. And I remember saying...
And you can't give that energy back either, back home.
No, you can't. And I remember saying my parents didn't know how to manage me in that world, but this guy who was older than me didn't know how to manage me in my age and in my ideas and in my, age group. And I will never forget, I used to journal, and I pray for, the universe to send me somebody my age, somebody who was young and who could manage me and we could be out there bouncing shoulders together, and somebody who will be, I remember specifically writing down what I wanted, somebody who I could trust, somebody who my parents could trust, somebody who would make me not have to worry about money and worry about, any shady business like my parents, because I had that trust of your parents. But just like Michael Jackson, when your parents can no longer manage you because it becomes a child-parent relationship, and you need a sort of friend-partner relationship. And that was in the year 2000. And I met Che in 2014.
Wow.
And I knew that was exactly what I had written. It took 14 years for it to show up. The universe will always answer your prayers, but you have to be on watch. And sometimes, and I've been through a lot of different managers from the year 2000 to 2014.
Oh, really? Okay.
And when I met Che, he wasn't even a manager.
Yeah.
I was a photographer.
He was a man.
He was just a guy with a period. Just a man.
Yeah.
Well, tell me from your perspective how this all came to be, where you guys connected.
I was in Toronto doing my thing, being a photographer. Started up Manifesto, a community arts organization, because my studio was the meeting place and everyone was talking about wanting to make this change. So someone needed to step up and make the change and lead it.
Yeah.
So I took that responsibility on, and it grew quickly to be Canada's biggest, hip hop celebration and all of these things.
I remember. I thought Che was a Cuban, to be honest with you.
Especially because I run an organization called Manifesto.
Is that matter? Exactly. I was like, who's this Che guy? He's Latino. That's my type of people. I like it.
And then I was like, all right, I turned 30 years old. It's time to transition out of leading this, let some more leadership come in. And my office was right beside Dream Machine Studios, which was Circuit and Adrian Goff and that whole crew. And we just became friends because we'd always see each other through the window. And I was like, who's in the studio today? And they'd be like, who are you booking over there for the festival? So then we just became friends. But I would always encourage Adrian to go travel, because I was always all over the world, Jamaica, India, all over. I was like, yo, get some world perspective. Let's go travel. And he'd always joke about traveling and never go anywhere. And then he said, we're going to Trinidad. And I was like, yeah, right. You always talk about going this place, that place. He's like, no, come over. X, Tallest, an amazing visual artist. He had a whole crew of people. He's like, we're going to Trinidad. There's this artist that is looking for management. So I said, all right, cool. I'll come for the ride. We get on a flight. This is February 17th, 2014, Machel Monday. I didn't even know what I was coming for.
2014.
2014, Machel Monday. I land just knowing that we're meeting this artist, Machel. Get to the car, and for some reason, Adrian says, X and Che, you're in my car. We're going to One Woodbrook Place. I didn't even know where that was. Now I know. I spent a lot of time there. Yeah. But that's an address of the towers in Trinidad. We pull up. Machel is there in his house by himself, and he greets us, welcomes us in. Beautiful energy right from the first entry into the house. I felt welcome like family, right? And he's just playing music, and then he's like, yo, I have this record that's bumping right now. He plays a sound bang. And I'm like, isn't that also the peak of Major Lazer, right? Major Lazer's peaking. We just landed in Trinidad. I've come to Trinidad a couple of times before, but I've always wanted to come in a cultural experience, not a family trip.
Yeah.
And so we're just talking about life and visions and everything. At this time, I'm just there. I'm showing him my photography at this point. I'm a photographer. Maybe one day I'll get to shoot you. And then we end up on the balcony, and we're like talking about the fact that he has a big concert tonight and that we should probably leave. And then he points down. He's like, yeah, that's where it's at, the National Stadium.
Yeah.
And it's gridlock. Like the whole Port of Spain is locked down with cars trying to get to this venue.
And you don't know that it's happening there prior to Machel saying.
I have no idea. I'm just innocently, I'm in the middle of doing Manifesto community work, and I just get on this flight and land.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool, we're gonna meet this artist. So then
he didn't know it was a big deal.
We're trying to get out of here.
To be honest, although I grew up in Toronto, I went to Carribean, all of that stuff, I was more a hip hop reggae head, right? I wasn't full up on soca.
Yeah.
But then I came, saw what was going on. We said, all right, let's dip. We'll meet you at the concert. We go to the concert. That's where I first meet Lady Montano and Chow, who you just interviewed.
Yeah.
And I see them backstage running this huge, massive production. We get there. I get to glimpse on stage for a second. And it's a sea of people. The entire National Stadium is full. and he's performing and controlling this audience like an alchemist. Like going like this and the entire crowd goes like this, right?
Wow.
Goes to the left, everyone shifted. He like moving energy around.
Yeah.
Later he can talk to you about how he does that, and I've
That's
learned how he's
definitely my
done that.
follow-up, yeah.
But I witnessed that right away, and I was like, this is phenomenal. And not only that was musically excellent, but the production, the level of intention in terms of the delivery of a narrative and the cultural expressions that were on stage, everything was like, to me, a Cirque du Soleil level 4.5 hour Zumba aerobics performance. And I'm like, how does this man do this? Even just to remember that set list, I'm like, how do you deliver all of that? How do you have a catalog that big? Remember, I don't know who he is really.
Right.
So I'm blown away, and I go whisper in Adrian's ear. I'm like, yo, definitely manage him. And he looks at me, he's like, I'm going home tomorrow. I don't know what I would do with this. They're doing Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, like that's the world that they're in. So they're like, this doesn't match. Yet I grew up in like rooted in culture. You were talking about the analogy of, you know, the tip of the iceberg. Another good metaphor is soil. And you look at what grows underneath the soil, and if the roots are really rich and you water that, the tree will live forever and plant so many other trees, because like one seed can become an old growth forest with healthy soil.
Yeah.
And these guys are steeped in the healthiest soil, in my opinion, right? I'm watching what has been developed and cultivated beyond only Machel and the Montanos to a continuum of culture that comes from Calypso into the formation of Soca into et cetera, to Machel Montano.
Yeah.
And I'm witnessing this on stage. They're honoring it in a delivery of a performance at that level.
See, you see what happened there? Some people will just see it as an artist performing to manage. Che's seeing all these layers. That's the same thing I was saying about I was seeing things in layers.
Yeah.
So that is what I was praying for. Somebody who could come along and see in layers like how I see it in layers.
Yeah.
And the layers I seeing is not the layers he's seeing. But when we could map it onto each other, and then we could start to realize, oh, wait a second, this is beyond music. This is about life. This is about spirituality. This is about taking care of others, taking care of life.
Well, that's what I witnessed. So then I was supposed to go home the next day. The flights were booked for the next day. And I looked around, I was like, I'm not going home. Adrian and everyone else were like, I'm going home. And I
Did you decide in that moment you're not going home because you just witnessed?
And I found out Carnival was next week.
And so you didn't even know Carnival
and
was
my
before
origin,
that.
my
So he knew nothing. But he came
my origin story as a photographer.
A nomad. That's what you give it that way. It's called
Straight nomad.
Gypsies.
nomad,
He's
yeah.
just
I'm like,
Yeah. Book a ticket, want to come check? Yeah, let's go.
go.
that's how I've lived my life from the very beginning. As a child, I would just whatever.
That's how we live in. That's how we live
Yeah.
in today, right now, and that's why we click together. But he stayed back.
Yeah.
There's a natural mystic blowing through the air. That's the mystic that we ride. We just flow on that energy, and wherever it takes us. There's another song. In New York, they want me, and I'm gonna be there. Wherever they want, we're gonna show up and bring an energy. So I decided to stay for that next little bit,
Big tune.
right? Director X decides to stay back. Carnival's next week, there's nowhere to stay. All hotels are booked. So the guy that linked everyone, he's like, I have a yacht, you can live on our boat. And the reason you're saying, you know, am I
Not
seeing
bad.
Oh,
all this stuff?
No. It wasn't even on the ocean.
It was in the yacht club. No, it was in
It
the
was
yacht
in the
club.
yacht club, but not in the
No.
sea.
Oh, it's just parked.
It was just parked.
It was parked in the yacht
Oh,
club.
I thought it was going on.
No.
Okay.
I know when he said live on a boat, he was like, oh, nice life. But it was just a
It was
boat
still
on
a vibe.
stilts.
Okay.
It was definitely still a vibe. I've never lived on a boat before. Me and X know each other.
was a
but,
boathouse.
It was a
It was
boathouse. I live in a boathouse.
A dry
hotel.
dock boat.
Yeah.
But that was when I realized the power of the music to really uplift the spirit of a nation.
At
and
Carnival?
Joy, produce joy, and bring people together, galvanize millions of people towards a common effort and feeling. Like that's when I said, all right, cool. Beyond Machel, the entire ecosystem is something I want to be a part of.
Yeah.
And then I went home.
Something bigger.
Yeah.
Something bigger. And this is somebody coming to see that. when I was recording with Atlantic Records and going to London and going to Norway and going to Sweden, you know, with the biggest producers, you know, Stargate and, you know, all the famous guys, I know they were trying to find a hit record, you know, but Merlin Music, you know, but they weren't privy to what he just said, that this is a culture and this is something lifting up people's lives and this is something beyond Machel Montano and about the islands that needed addressing. And this was the person that was sent that I prayed for.
Wow.
And the last piece of this puzzle for me, when I was like, you know, in no which way I'm saying this in a way of, I'm trying to have an ego, but I've had lots of opportunities in my life. They continually present themselves from the highest opportunities that people would die for. And I say no to a lot of them, right? But the reason I really locked in with Machel is we all went to Tobago, right? And this man had a performance again in Tobago. Like, I'm now in Carnival, I'm watching show after show after show after show. I'm like, whoa, this guy's a beast. Like, I've never met someone that has a similar kind of energy where it's like, oh, we don't need to sleep. We're just ready to go, can work 24 hours. Like, everyone else can go to sleep and that's when the work really begins. Never met someone like that. And then I met him. But in the midst of all of that, we go to this little island for a little team lime, like a team get together afterwards. And he goes, oh, by the way, the vegetarian vegan food is over here for you. And I was like, while this guy's got all of this stuff going on, is the headliner of the entire Carnival thing, he remembered I'm vegetarian and made sure my food, not someone on his team, him personally made sure I was taken care of to eat that day.
Are you in this moment while this is happening in your head, remembering the journal? I'm like,
I have no recollection of that.
I will remember it,
but
because a lot of people don't remember
just
that.
me in the moment, but guess what? Today I am vegan also.
Right.
So it had to be that was an inspiration. But that's just how we roll, especially...
So what I'm asking more is like, while he's coming along on this journey for the first time and he's seen this, are you starting to see this guy in a bit of a different light?
At that point, we were
not even.
I didn't even
hanging.
talk to them.
Not yet.
No, okay.
We just being how our parents bring us up.
Yeah.
That when other kids come to the house, everybody get the
Hospitality,
cornflakes.
yes,
Everybody
yes.
eating the cornflakes.
Yes.
Everybody doing whatever. Everything is to be shared.
Wow.
And we pay attention to detail. You know what I mean?
At that point, I wasn't a manager.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So we're just hanging out. I'm getting to report back to the managers and the management team, right? And so I go back to Toronto and I'm constantly going to that office in that studio saying, when are you going to sign
What are
Machel?
you doing?
When are you
Yeah,
going to sign
when is that?
Machel?
Yeah,
When's
yeah.
that going to happen? And then they said, why don't we just build a management division around you and you do it? And I was like, all right, cool. So I went down to LA.
Just like what you asked for when you were
Right.
younger. All right.
Okay.
Cool. You know what I mean? And then I went down to LA. I remember having a meeting with Machel and Renee at their house in Van Nuys, that house that Addie and all those kids from Toronto used to rent out, and Wonder
I've been
Girl
there
and
before
everyone.
too, yeah.
These guys all rented the house and were
True.
there.
I didn't rent it. I slept on the couch, very hungover.
But it was a famous Toronto house.
Brown
for a little
coach? The
while.
brown coach?
I don't know what
She's like, not the brown coach, not the brown
cut that
coach.
out. That's a brown couch. No, there was a black couch in like the kitchen. Maybe it wasn't brown. I don't know.
Anyways,
When I woke up like very hungover, actually.
Yeah.
I went to that
And then I
house.
found out it was Machel's house. I was like, oh my God. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
I'm the type of
Thank you
person.
for letting me stay there.
No. It's okay.
Appreciate it.
I'm the type of person that will go to a meeting like that, and I had flip chart paper, and I'm drawing out like
You
charts.
really?
Yeah, so
Really?
I went to meet Machel and Renee, had flip chart paper. By the end of it, he was just like, yeah, let's just do this. And then not only that, again, got in the car and drove me home. I was like, they're like, you need a ride home? I was like, I'm good. He's like, no, I'll go drive you home. And
Okay.
it just felt like family, honestly.
Yeah.
After that, like right away, I had to go for Hollywood Carnival. And I was like, we're gonna get a hotel. They're like, no, stay at our house. Like it just immediately became fam.
That's dope. How do you know that this is the guy with having no experience to be your manager? Except the flip chart.
I mean, I was a flip chart guy too, because in our early stages, we would take Bristol board, sheets of Bristol board, and we would draw what our plans were.
Yeah.
And we would make flipping charts, like charts flipping out drawings. We want to fly here. So, I mean, I just saw that as an extension of how I like to move. But Che became very peaceful, a peaceful addition to our family. He was there. He was always showing up. Of course, he was never sleeping. He was always going. But quickly, I realized I never saw this guy get angry. He was very sociable, like to talk to people, and I didn't like talking to people. So I was like, yeah, this would be a good addition, somebody who loved to talk and could socialize. I would just be hanging out. But he was honest. There was something that was pure and honest, and I was able to recognize the qualities that I said I wrote down in this diary. Up to this day, I still try to look to find that diary. If I could go back just to show people that this is actually what happened. And at some point in time, I remember the other side of the management team that he was working with was trying to get me in the room to work with Britney Spears or work with this one and do records. And I was really not feeling to do that. I was really wanting to be managed into zero. I always tell Che, help me go to zero. Help me start over. Clean up all the bad
responsibly.
business. Yeah.
Responsibly go to zero, yeah.
And then we could map out a new vision together.
I love to understand what that meant, because Chabe's mentioned this to me before, is that, two things that you tasked him with is responsibly getting you back to zero, and then finding a guide, a spiritual teacher.
So let me map it out and bring it right back to the point of why I chose him.
Please.
Because, okay, with our parents, my parents were not trained in the music business. Everything that they learned, they were school teachers, and one became a geologist and a guidance counselor. So they were good with kids and people and direction, but the music business, they were learning it on the fly.
Yeah.
Reading books, buying some of the best books about the business. And, we just thought, okay, we have to have our own publishing company. Okay, we have to have a production company. Okay, we have to have a recording company. And then we had like 6, 7 companies. We were paying tax, and we didn't really know how to do the business. We were trying to make up contracts, and eventually we had a business that was a plethora of things that was draining energy. It wasn't a well-oiled aerodynamic machine for global success. And it was just too much of things happening for me. And I was like, Che, there's too many shows, there's too much band members, there's too much office people, there's too much companies. I just need to come down to Machel, the human being, and the art that I want to make. And I need somebody to help me sort all of this out. It's like a room full of stuff that I need to move things out of and clean up so that I can find myself. And he understood that. While the others would say, no, you need to be the iron while it's hot. You need to go and record with this one. You need to go in studio. That was feeling like pressure. He was the only one in the team that wasn't pressuring me to do anything. And if I say, let's rest for a week, he'll be like, all right. Or let's go on the beach. He'll be like, okay. He was always, so that was kind of reassuring that this person actually don't have a problem. Before, if I wanted to sleep in today, my mom would be, no, you can't sleep in today, you have to work. And they'll be like the kind of Michael Jackson, Joe Jackson levels. You know what I'm saying? And because she's trying to take care of her son and make sure, But Che was always like, yeah, let's just kick it. Let's just not do it. And that was the time when I had to make a decision. It was clearly put to me. Go with the guy who was an experienced manager, or go with Che. And I just chose somebody that I felt had the vibe. Somebody that I felt they may not have the experience as the other person. They may not have the connects, but they have the ability to learn it. I knew that the ability was there. I knew he was intelligent, but I knew he was calm. And I know he was honest, and I know he was friendly. And those characteristics stood out for me. That made me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we could say anything, and we were like buddies, and we could just chill. If we just had to chill and do nothing else, I could work for him. I could stop singing and I could go work for Che. Whatever Che doing, and he will hire me because I have a little bit of sense.
I would hire him in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
But the funny thing is, the plan was, and we're still getting there, managed to zero. But what Machel said is, first, before we do that, I want you to see my world.
Yeah.
And that's what we did for the past little while.
So 2015, he came in, he was able to see the big road march with 2014 was a road march too, but 2015 was how we made the road march.
Oh, I seen the
with
video.
Like a Boss. See all the major things
And
happening.
we brought half of Toronto to work for Machel at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah, but so-
Chef,
By the way,
graphic designers,
yeah.
videographers, etc.
Full team.
John Riera says what's up, by the way.
Yeah.
He says what's up.
Tell him I say how's his finger.
Let's see it.
Oh no.
Let's see it.
Lots of inside jokes with that.
We're gonna have to ask him about
Big
that.
up
What is
Connor
it?
too. Connor,
Shout out
man.
Connor,
Yeah.
Big Norm.
No, oh gosh, well, don't talk about no. She just bring the whole of Toronto, Scarborough, Mississauga, Brampton, everybody to work.
Baba.
Everybody to work for me, right? And it was like we were a big machine. But he had to learn, and the humblest thing is he was learning from my parents, my mom and my dad.
Which was
and
the greatest
watching
experience.
what they were doing.
Yeah.
It took us 2015 to like
We still learn it.
we still learning. Let's say 10 years just to crack it.
There's gonna be a lot of people who don't know what this means. Road
Yeah.
March Carnival, what that looks like. I saw the video, the documentary, and 16 shows, 7 days.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of those shows, but I saw on one of those shows, the clock said 4.5 hours on stage.
Yeah.
Walk me through what that carnival, what that week looks like for you, or even leading up to Carnival to Road March. Like,
Yeah.
what does this look like? What does this world, help people understand what this world looks like.
First of all, soca is the only business where you must have a hit every single year.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to do albums because I wanted to have multiple dimensional hits because I understood that is what was gonna put me above the rest. So I had a groovy soca hit, I had a power soca hit for the road, which was that is the difference in tempo. One is 110 or 120 BPM, and one is 160 BPM.
65, yeah, 165
65 even.
Yeah.
And you know, those two areas, but then you had a song that had a sort of chutney music for the East Indian community collaborations, one with a little dancehall vibe. So I was doing albums. So we would start recording in like October, November, maybe late November sometimes because Miami Carnival. And we start recording and releasing songs on Boxing Day, you know, New Year's Day. You try to release 2-3 songs, but you wanted to have enough of a catalog for your songs to be banging on the radio for people to start calling you to do shows because we needed multiple shows.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be so many shows, but you know, everybody wants to have a successful carnival with a big hit song.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted 3. You know?
Not just one, you wanted
I
3
wanted
because
3.
Carnival is February, March.
Yeah.
Right?
So from Boxing Day,
Yeah.
it's all fets every single weekend. And as it gets closer,
every weekend?
Every weekend there's a fet or 3 fets
A couple
happening
of them,
Friday,
yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, and sometimes 2 on one day.
And sometimes you got to drive from South Trinidad
To the
all
north.
the way here, like
It
the Port of
happens all
Spain.
over the country.
Crazy, okay.
But the frequency of these shows start increasing the closer it gets to the actual carnival Monday and Tuesday, which is in February.
Yeah.
The 2 days before Lent.
Yeah.
So you now have this Road March song, this 165 BPM song. Road March is the most popular song during Carnival time. You're driving on the streets, you play mass, you're hearing it on every DJ playing it. You're hearing it 6-7 times in an hour on the radio. You know, you're hearing it banging because people love it so much.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when people play mass or they cross in the Carnival stage, they choose that song to jump across the stage to.
Right.
And they count how many times people choose that song.
Right.
And that becomes the most famous song. That's like Song of the Year, you win a Grammy.
Here,
Here, that's the equivalent.
That's the equivalent of the Grammy.
So remember, and I've been winning them in 97, I came second in 98, and I wrote the song that won in 98.
Okay.
You know, after that, 2003 came second, 2004 came second. By 2006, I won the Road March again. 2007, won it again.
4 times.
You know, and it was just starting to go. So it was about chasing that dream. So you want to perform in a lot of fets. You want your songs to be doing well. And it just ended up being you're doing 50, 60 shows in like a month.
And radio interviews,
TV
music videos,
interviews,
TVs,
music.
hosting guests as they're flying in, all these international guests. But all of what he just said happens from, you know, November to March, because right after Carnival, it goes Jamaica. Once your song is a hit, you have a
You gotta
passport
go
to
to
go
all the
over
other-
the other ones.
Then you-
And it doesn't end until Miami, which is
October.
October. So then after that, if you get any time to rest, you get a week or so and then you have to be back in the studio, finding hits for the next one,
Crazy.
because some artists might be able to get through, but most artists, you can have the biggest song in Carnival in 2025, and if you don't come with a song that people love in 2026, you're nowhere.
Yeah.
Crazy. Wow. And this is something, you saying you're getting 2 weeks, 3 weeks of a break, but like, this is 20, 30 albums that you're doing this
40
in a
plus,
row.
43.
43, no, in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
Non-stop.
non-stop.
That's why it's time to go to zero.
Time to make one album that can set the tone for 3-4 years of touring and maybe 2 years of retreat.
You know,
I do
Go ahead.
I do have to ask, because you run Road March last year,
Yeah.
and that was the 11th,
Yeah.
tied with
Lord Kitchener,
Lord Kitchener.
most of all time.
So it's the most of all time road marches. 2026. Are you going to compete to be able to get the 12th so you can have that?
If you ask me this question in 2020, I would tell you there's two voices on each shoulder.
Okay, back to the voice.
One saying, yeah, get 12 and be the greatest of all time. And one saying, the amount of effort you have to put in to get a road march, people don't really see how much work it takes. You have to record the song, write the song, produce the song, perform the song, promote the song. You have to really, really compete. And it takes a lot of energy to make it happen.
Yeah.
From 2018 come back, our spiritual journey became more about a message rather than continuing to try to win road march. Because we're trying to win road march, you have to sing about certain things. Trying to change your message, you probably have to experiment a little more. So your energy is torn. Either you're gonna concentrate on getting the road hit, or you're gonna concentrate on expanding your horizons and singing about other things. And we had to balance that for a long time. So now I would say, sitting here today, yeah, it's very attractive to say, yeah, let's win the road march next year and get 12. And a lot of people have stepped to me this year already saying, well, I know you're coming again, and I know you're, because they think, but me sitting down here thinking like, that is the furthest thing. It's in there, but I have a different perspective. I think it's more important for us to develop our spirituality, our business model, our structure that is aimed at helping other young people in the business. It is more important for us to find something new and really and truly to achieve that. The generator that you use for winning road march and being big in Carnival, you really need that generator over here on this project. So it's a thin balance of trying to still give the fans music, but do something bigger.
And he's still young. 12
Yeah.
can come at any time.
It could come anytime.
It's true. This is very true. Well, give me a heads up when you're going for 12.
You want to come that year?
I want to come. My girlfriend's Trini.
You see? Everybody just
dependent.
want that experience. Everybody
I
want that
want the
experience.
experience. Yeah, the one experience.
You watch the Like a Boss documentary, so you want that experience.
I want that, yes. Oh, well, I don't think I can go as hard as you can go.
We
but
just spent the
I
night.
only say this, my girl's Trini. So,
No, but listen, we
so it's
we just spent the night with Khaled, and we trying to go international and find ways to, to develop. And he was like, yeah, I need to come to Trinidad. So immediately, no,
Everyone,
this is somebody else.
When we're hanging with Tyler. So Carnival is wet. Every single person. And then we have this responsibility because you want to deliver something.
Yeah.
Machel, has a responsibility to provide joy to the millions of people.
Right.
That's a big thing to carry on your shoulders. Obviously
yeah.
other artists are doing that too, but a lot of people depend on Machel to do that.
They like my vibe, and they say, Marshall, boy, we need your vibe, we need your vibe.
Yeah.
But I try to get them to understand too that there's other people who could create that vibe, but I also need to take my energy to know how to cut the new roads that we're gonna travel.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just can't really,
And even
It's
going
hard,
back,
right?
classified
It's
in.
hard. I mean, it's just like, even when I use the example of like old friends, right? And you love those friends dearly, but but you know that it's just, you
That's it.
cannot
Sometimes
hang
you
with
gotta
them
keep it
anymore
moving.
because you are going to a different part of
That's
your life.
it.
And so when you're going on this spiritual journey, like you said, I can just imagine it's just like, there
Listen.
is a specific type of music you have to make for it.
Let me tell you about my first experience with meditation in the
Yeah.
year 2000. I knew that there was something bigger happening. I wanted to communicate with that bigger thing, communicate better with God. Let's put it in that. And I wanted to learn things. And I said, I took up meditation and I found a certain type of meditation. And I was in that depth of meditation. And this was Maharishi Mahesh, who, a lot of people blame him for breaking up the Beatles. He's the one who enlightened, Lennon and John Lennon and Paul McCartney and all that. And I started to study this transcendental meditation. And I had a vision one time that I was scared. And I came to the teacher and I was like, I had this vision in me, and he was like, what? I was like, everybody around me had to go. Everybody around me had to go. And I was seeing all my band members on this one, that one. And I was scared because these were the people who I grew up with. And he looked at me and he said, Anne, with a smile like this, I was thinking this disastrous vision that everyone around me had to go or would leave for me to. And he watched me and said, Anne, and I lived through that in the next 2 years to see that everybody went their own way. And I was by myself building it all over again. And it was cool. But what I took away from that is, in terms of meditation and yoga, we get attached to things that are our immediate, like this is our family, this is our team.
Yeah.
And we think that if they not here, right here with us in our immediate proximity, that we lose them. But they never lost. They mightn't be right there with you. Sometimes you need to step away and go in the mountain or be by yourself or go in the dark room by yourself and be with yourself to know where you want to go. And then these people could still come back and join you. But there is that moment when you have to go within. Mm-hmm. And that was a big learning point for me about, making hard decisions and moving on from friends and reconnecting with them when they understand. And sometimes it's hard for them to understand when you're trying to go solo.
Are you having those conversations with them and how are you communicating?
Well, there was a point in time when I went to Atlantic Records and I came back home and I saw the band and it was Farmer Nappy and Roger George and Peter C., all my lead singers, and they were all fighting Justin for who going to be the star. And I would just watch them rehearse because I was then solo on my own. Right. And I had to sit down with them sometimes and say, certain artists who I had come up with, people like Patrice and Farmer and Ben Jai and Zan. And I sat with them one time and I said, look, guys, I think right now you all need to get your own managers. Because at that point, my mom and they were still managing everybody. But I was like, I think you all need to get your own managers, your own day-to-day managers. We could still advise because I feel like I need to take the management team and point them in a direction. I need all of their focus. And I think that these other artists have come to the maturity where they deserve someone to focus on them and let them. Yeah. And it was a hard decision to have. They thought I was breaking up with them. But I was really not breaking up. I was like a parent putting a child in his own apartment and putting him on his own strength, knowing that they were ready. Right. So it was a hard decision to have. But for me, I had to be really honest for them to understand. And I think, in retrospect, looking back at it now, we could see that they grew into,
incredible.
They are as big as Machel Montano. Right. And now we could, or me and family used to dream about that. I'll own a building here, you'll own your building, and I'll look at her and say, yo, Mauricio, I have 2 million, how much you have? And he'll be like, I got 1.5, I got 6. And she'll be like, I have 8. And then we could put all that together and do something big that we all became. Yeah. So, and I think, in the moment is scary.
As well too. Kitch as well, right?
Yeah, Colonel became his own force. Everybody became a force to reckon with on their own. Yeah. But it was hard to break up the band or break up the family in those moments to let them know. But I really needed the transformation that I was looking to make and the change I was looking to make. I didn't want to, not be able to support them the way that they needed the support.
Yeah. I've again been lucky and privileged to be a witness to a lot of the conversations where sometimes Machel has to let someone go from the team or a transition has to happen. And the way in which he is able to communicate those changes and the narrative of and the journey of that conversation from a philosophy to start with to key points and then to like a conclusion, it's like a masterclass. To be able to watch him have these kind of HR level convos, and a lot of times I'm just like listening in and learning always by how he handles those situations.
Everything that is built up must break down. but you must never see it as, I mean, I have fired people on stage live and
No.
I've seen that happen too,
but I mean,
you also hired people on stage.
On stage,
Nandy,
yeah.
Nandy got
Okay,
hired as a
you've done
dancer.
both.
hire people from in the crowd. Nandy, Asha.
Yeah.
No, but the
Right
no,
after you fired the person.
You're like, you're out, you're in. No.
But really and truly, you could sit with that person and let them understand when you have come to a crossroads
Yeah.
and you need to grow. And if you could give them the right perspective, you could inspire them onto a greater journey than making them feel like this is a loss. It should never be a loss when two people part ways or go on two parallel, journeys.
100%. Yeah.
There should be a good in and a good out. That's what I believe.
And everyone should be built up and strong enough on their own that they can separate without any pain.
Yeah.
It's only when you're not full and you're like half like this and you're attached like that, when you pull apart, you feel half empty. If you're full and you're like this and you pull apart, no problem. You can keep moving as a full entity.
Yeah. It's a transition for sure. But I mean, if you know that inside that, even from your perspective, that they're ready to go on, they might feel some type of resentment, but like you can see better than they can because they're in the middle of it. They're in the middle of the storm, but you can see better than like, you'll be all right.
And you
Take
also
a moment.
know that they may need to stumble a little bit to know
their
how
own
to
growth.
walk.
That's part of the resilience that you've had your entire
Yeah.
career as well.
I'm so proud of the people that I went through that journey with because I could look at them today and the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Hard workers, work ethic, good catalog, star power.
Yes.
They really did. They have spiritual strength, business acumen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can see that they're all like the disciples of Machel because, I mean, I was at Markham Fairgrounds in Toronto when you guys performed there in the
Yeah.
summertime and saw Patrice perform, and there's definitely influences of what you guys have done together.
For sure. She's one of the ones who learn well, even Colonel who could handle this business. Farmer is another major one. You're not seeing what is behind Farmer's happy, jolly, go lucky songs, but he's a lot of business. He's a good businessman.
Yeah.
He did the right investments. He's worked with the right people. He has a team. He's really followed the same blueprint.
Okay, speaking of business, I'd love to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
What makes a good business person in this journey that you're on, just in general as an artist?
A good business person has a passion and a vision. So a vision and a passion.
Yeah.
And it's mostly beyond money. It's beyond profit. It's always about bringing an experience or bringing joy or bringing some sort of vision to a wider audience.
That's a fact.
So they want to achieve something.
Yeah.
This is the kind of business person, because a lot of people come in and they just want to get rich or they just want to, but when you see a business person, that person always almost has a bigger vision for humanity or for community or for others.
Yeah.
And that's how I have always been in my music. So I kind of tend to gravitate towards wanting to collaborate with people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get it twisted. We always need to make a check and we always need to do money making and profitable business. But you want to kind of blend those because there are people who know how to, put the creative and the purpose first. And they know that once it makes sense, it's going to make dollars.
Yes.
Sense.
I'll say watching
Right.
Machel's business, style, I always admired the risks that he'll take in investing in himself and the vision. Forget himself, the vision, right? Like from a very young age, he bought acres of land that now, 30 years later, we're living in, and like the vision takes time to realize, but from very early in his career, what 18-year-old is buying acres of land with their money that they're making in entertainment?
Right.
Then from there, studio equipment. Then from there, any of the latest technology needed for the team to execute their jobs, we buy it, right? There's never a stingy attitude towards taking things to the next level and delivering world-class level opportunities to the Caribbean. Right? And I think that's advanced the entire industry here, to be honest, not only your career, but the entire industry.
And as a major lesson we learn again, a principle that our parents put in us, core values from the beginning, invest in yourself. They showed us if we make $100 from a performance,
Yep.
save 50,
Yep.
put 40 into your business, buy a piece of equipment, buy some clothing, learn something, and then spend 10 on yourself. So we were like always taught how to reinvest. And today, Akinola was asking about what is a circular economy.
Yeah.
But that is what it is. You know, you invest
Sustainable.
and you're sustainable, and you put in skills development, you put some into rest and recovery and health and wellness in this day and age.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so a good business person knows how to balance what they do. It's not always about making money to buy houses and buy cars, and it's about putting money back into that very thing that you love doing, and also investing into others, not just financially, into educating them. You know, we had people who we carry to recording workshop with me. When Machel was going to learn to be a sound engineer, we took another young person with us and we sponsored to do that also. And that person became somebody I could work with, and now is out doing his own thing. But it's always about investing in people when you see the potential, and, you know, making it part of the business, that they could become a business onto your business that could add and, you know, expand.
Do you think vision can be taught, or is that innate in somebody?
I think you can learn vision. It
How?
can be taught. If you observe a visionary, I think you could understand what is happening, and I think eventually you could find your own visions in your head. It is something that is innate. It is something that multiple people are capable of. You know, I might be able to jump as high as you because you're 6'2" or 6'4".
Good call. 6'2",
Right?
yeah.
You understand?
Wow.
You might be able to run as fast as Che because he light on his feet.
Yeah, right.
You know, I might be able to lift as much weight, but physically we have, but I think spiritually, or in terms of potential and vision, we all have the ability to create something in our mind, to dream something up, to imagine something. And then if you have the dedication to work towards it, which is the inspiration, and you're gonna need energy. It can't be down and depressed. And, you know, once you have the energy and the inspiration, the next thing is about working with people who can help you achieve this. So I think everybody has that potential. But would everybody realize it in this time? No. And it's not necessary, because sometimes he might have a vision that I might like, and I might want to contribute and have an idea too. So sometimes you could be on somebody else's vision that would inspire you to find your vision. I think it happens within the human being when that calling decides to arrive.
Yeah.
I
you
think
have
there's
the
a
leaders
vision.
and then you have the soldiers, right? And this.
Yeah, well, there's a vision that exists for something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
It'll find a vessel, and then if that vessel is you can call it a business person, but just a good leader, the whole energy will move in that way. And that's what, like, you know, when he's got a vision for something, like the arms that reach out, it's over 150 people like that we're employing, and like, but you put a vision and mission first, everything points towards that. And then your decision making is so easy. Does it fit the vision or mission? Like, I always go to, when we're looking at certain things, like take someone like a Bob, right? Bob Marley. I don't think it was hard for him to make a lot of decisions. It would just like roll off of him if it wasn't in his integrity.
In his core values.
Yeah, if it wasn't in his core values or in his integrity, it would just roll off and it wouldn't even make it through the door.
Yeah.
Right? And then his soldiers at the front gate would know that's not allowed in here. Right? It doesn't even get to
That's real shit.
them, right? So the vision can just spread into many people.
Very early in the game, I pulled Che and everybody into the room, and I gave them 3 pillars. This is what we're here to do. Make music reflecting the highest expression of who we are, and take it to the corners of the globe. That's 1. 2, do collaborations with others, and we must empower them while learning from them. And 3, do smart and innovative business. Those were the 3 pillars that I said to Chin and that we stand on to this day. The make music reflecting the highest expression of who we are and take it to the corners of the globe has grown to become express your highest self and share it with others.
Yeah.
Even if they're right next to you. Once we start doing that, we find our highest selves. We always improving who we are. We always trying to be our highest self, whether it's meditation or exercise or right eating or conscious thinking. We always improving our skills. Learning AI, learning Photoshop, learning Logic. If I could teach Che those things, we always, you know,
technology is part of your core value system.
For
And a lot
sure.
of people, as they get older, they're very scared of it and
They're
wary.
scared of
But
technology.
you keep
Diving
looking,
in.
diving in. I'm the same way. I see these new technologies coming along. It's like, okay, AI, wow, okay, I have to learn this.
yeah.
And it's not only just because like I'm gonna get left behind or competitive. It's just like I'm naturally
Interested.
curious
Yeah.
and interested.
Some
in
people
why this-
scared that their job gonna be taken away. But
Right.
I wish somebody could take my job. Then I'll go on the
Right.
beach, I'll relax, and then I'll do something else. I'll find something else. So I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
that,
to be
you
done.
know, these automated jobs and robots and AI, they come to take the stress away from us, but we could also choose other things. And we have to remember, we are the ones programming them.
Right, right.
You know, we are the ones who have the real ideas.
Yeah.
So sometimes some people are scared, but we're not scared of it. And we would do that upgrade of ourselves and make sure we're on the tip of the spear always. But then we will collaborate with other people who we feel have that same energy. And we'll make sure that we teaching them something,
Yeah.
but we also learning something from them.
Of course.
Because the youths have all the enthusiasm and all the ideas.
100%.
We have all the experience and all the, you know, the stability of finances. And we can put those two together
fair trade.
and do something.
Yeah.
And then now, do smart and innovative business. We want the best technology, the smartest dudes, yeah, and girls and people who just on the right things.
Yeah.
And we put those together and it happens. You know?
Okay, so on that note, I love this from the book King of Soca. This is yours, I believe. But this is from the book. Can you walk me through that?
So this was the most important thing. Let's go to the four corners. As Che said, it rolling off of Bob because Bob has a philosophy. One love. Africa unite. You know, he has that philosophy about family and love and unity. So we had a philosophy, and I just laid out the philosophy of what we do. Within that philosophy, we now have to base the company, which is on this side. Everybody must know what the philosophy is, what the objective is, what we're trying to achieve. And then we'll have a plan for the year. This is the plan that we're going to set out to achieve for this year. That's a year plan. So philosophy in this corner, the company built on the philosophy. This is the plan of what we're trying to execute. And then the very acute objective was a body of work. We know we needed some sort of art, some sort of material, some sort of message, and we needed that message or that body of work to implore or to contain the philosophy, to drive the company, and to succeed at all the different objectives we were trying to achieve during that year. Me and Che often set up visions and we want to get this show and Tiny Desk and Kennedy Center and this and that and that. And we will set like the next 8 months what we are to achieve. And then bet your bottom dollar, 8 months later, we looking at each other laughing like, wow,
Knock
we
them down.
actually did it. We knocked them down, boom, boom, boom. And we laughed sometimes saying, you know, it was easy. It was pretty easy. I mean, it was challenging. It wasn't hard. It wasn't
Right.
but it was easy. It was easy to dream up. We made it here, but it was very challenging in between to get it to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what basically this is. And there's always the challenges in the middle because the challenges are the things that we love. They're not problems. They're
love that.
opportunities.
I love that.
They're opportunities for us to lean on each other.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Opportunities for us to like huddle
Yeah.
and say, how are we gonna fix this one?
How important is that to look at that as a challenge versus a problem?
That is the most important part. I mean, the Bible says, where two or more are gathered in thy name, there too shall I be. I like to quote from the Bible
Say
sometimes.
that again.
Where two or more are gathered in thy name, there too shall I be. Meaning that the creator, that God power, is most evident when people come together. Numbers.
Yeah.
So when we have a thing that we're trying to solve, if we huddle, his idea, your idea, my idea, then we're not alone. You know what I mean? We're not alone. We together. We mightn't be we mightn't know where we're going, but we're willing to step off the cliff together. You know, we don't have the confidence, but we have the clarity. So clarity is you're willing to take a risk together. If we lose, we lose. But we could all laugh about it together. It's not like you're gonna be on it. And that's how we function with challenges. We love them because we know we're gonna knock them down.
Are you, with such a busy schedule, where do you find the time? Because I feel like you got to go inward, and then you'll have the conversations. Okay, what are we gonna do in the next year? But maybe that's just how I approach it. You know, I think to myself and try and find where do I want to take this journey that I'm on when it comes to my career or my personal life. But with such a busy schedule, where are you finding the time to do this?
That's where the wife comes in.
Okay.
The wife will force you to take time off.
This is true.
The wife will make sure that you're not burning yourself out, and you understand masculine energy wants to conquer and wants to expand infinitely. Feminine energy wants to preserve and nurture and take care. So that's why I had to choose a wife and getting married and balancing myself, because that feminine energy needed to be guarded, introduced, nourished, developed. And she was the one who was kind of saying, all right, no, you need to do something fun. No, you need to do something relaxing. No, you need to just lay out in the sun, or we need to go to the beach today. Because I have that problem with Che. Che will go 99 hours a day, all day, non-stop.
I do it in the ocean too, but I have my phone.
and sometimes I just need to relax. But then sometimes I will relax all day, and he will be the one saying, no, we have to do. So sometimes it's a push and a pull, and one person, and my wife has been the person who has helped me to manage that. Because sometimes you can burn yourself out, and then you find that time, and you yourself will start to appreciate and become automatically knowledgeable of, I need to take a rest right now.
Right.
I need to chill. Or I need to go by myself. Sometimes you need to go away from the wife and away from the marriage. You need to go somewhere by yourself.
Well, how important it is, it's incredibly important that they understand that. You know, everybody understands the person that you are.
Yeah.
And they can add to it and bring value to that, but also understanding when you need time alone. By the way, thank you very much for allowing him to still be here and have this conversation later. I appreciate it. We don't know who we're talking to. We're talking to Machel's wife.
Eventually, if they understand the value of that time you take from yourself with experience, they will see how sharp you come back.
100%.
They will see how less stressed you are. You're not bugging out at them or blowing off their head for certain things, and they will understand that, it's good investment to give him that time.
I was telling my girl today, I'm like, she's telling me she's really proud of me, because right now we're in Trinidad doing this podcast with Machel Montano. And I'm paying for this, it's out of my pocket to do this, but it's something that I just feel like I have to do. It's just, and I love to do this, right? We only put this together in like the last, week maybe? I just said, Che called me on something else. I was like, hey, by the way, can we do this? And he made it happen, thankfully, right? The relationship, fortunately, he trusts me with these conversations. But I was telling my girl, she said she's very proud of me. I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm not here having this conversation with Machel without you in my corner. Not only because she's Trini, but because I've become the man that I am today because of her, because of the way that she inspires me to be, right? And it's just, it's an energy that I haven't had in a long time. I stopped drinking almost 3 years ago. She didn't make me stop. I've had exes in the past who tried to get me to stop, and it was forced. I was like, it's not happening.
Just naturally fell off because you had a relationship that fostered that.
And it was just like, it wasn't feeding me anymore. That energy wasn't, and I could do without it. And I don't think I would have been able to do these things without her in my corner. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
And you have Che in your corner too, because I was supposed to be off relaxing in the jungle with her this week. And Che would be like, remember that podcast I tell you about? Well, he kind of want to do it on the one night that you come back from Miami before you fly out to Barbados. And Che, I will know where Che coming from, how important it is, because it means something to him.
Thank you, brother.
And when it means something to him, then automatically it started mean something to me.
Yeah.
Because I understand very subtly he trying to tell me how important it is that we should do
because I will say this podcast is important in the industry right now. It's the leading managers
Thank you.
podcast. You've interviewed Lady Gaga's manager, Doja Cat's manager, Hit Boy, like
And that's
it's
the part of
growing
our philosophy.
quickly.
We
You know what I
dedicated,
mean?
we decided to dedicate ourselves to giving the information to the younger generation and to the
Yep.
people who need it, which
And
is
I
exactly what you
think
said.
this conversation, like me and you've talked about, how do we introduce Machel into worlds that like deserves to be introduced? And this podcast is a vehicle to that. You know,
I
think it's-
appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it off camera. It's just, doing these things that I wish I had when I had access to when we were kids. But because I've built a pretty strong Rolodex in the last 10, 12 years,
Yeah.
what good is it to me if I just get to keep it to myself? I don't operate that way.
I feel it's something higher,
Yeah.
the higher self telling you that you need to do something that might look like it's a simpler thing to do
Yeah.
than rubbing shoulders with, Scooter Braun or this one or
Right.
that one. It's really just giving the young person who take up that phone and could learn something from what we're saying here and what you afforded them to see and access.
Yeah.
How important is that ripple? How much of the world is that going to change?
That's why we did this Sound Bridge program where Machel is essentially his life journey. He's giving it away in a masterclass format, which we're going to launch online at the start of this year.
And I want you to talk about that. But I can't walk away from this conversation without talking about the live element of what you do. You are, I would say, the best performer I've ever seen in my life. Okay.
You know, your second person coming up.
Just today, I think, no.
I will. I have a bias, but I don't think it's a crazy bias. But Jesse
Papa
Reyes
Keith.
Oh, yeah, Papa Keith.
Yeah.
also said that to you.
He said
Yeah,
that
on
to
the
me
radio.
On the radio
2 days
yesterday.
ago, yeah.
But it's like, I mean, the elements on that stage, and I was thinking about it, and you said it. It's like theater. It's like Broadway. This is Cirque du Soleil. This is musical. This is a whole other part of my language. There's a whole other fucking level to this that you have on stage.
It's really simple because every time somebody says that to me, I start blushing and I can't understand why they're saying that. But then yet I have a little understanding of what they're saying because I would love to put in the hours with a dancing team like Britney Spears does or like Michael Jackson does with the full warehouse where we could practice like Beyonce for 6 months. I would love to do that. We never have that time to do it. But what I feel, yeah.
We don't do that. We don't
Sometimes we're making that up in
a
a
week of
week.
rehearsals.
3 runs and we're saying,
Yeah.
okay, you be here, you be here, you be here, you be here. It all happens so quick, but we're able to achieve it because of how I'm able to explain it to everybody.
yeah.
But I'm saying, in my performance, there's a level of paying attention. So first of all, you're paying attention to what you're trying to say,
Okay.
what you're trying to express. Then you're paying attention to the entire band and everybody, what they're doing. But then you're also paying attention to the audience, how they're being affected by it. So sometimes, David Rudder used to say, this is no longer the whatever arena he was performing in. This is no longer the National Stadium. This is now the Holy Temple of Soca. Reverend Rudder in attendance. And you're the congregation. And it'll be like everybody in this whole place will turn into this church. This is what our live performance is like for me. I am here, the audience is there, the band is here, and we are all one being. And we kind of exchanging energy. Sometimes the energy out there, and I need to see, oh, look at that person climbing up there. Let me pay attention to that person. And what that person doing is related to what song is coming next. And I know, oh, this is that song. And then I know what the band gonna do. And you try to make it all look like one effortless theater. One well-woven story that knitted together. You put these songs in that order. This is my real talent.
Right.
You know how to
DJ.
It's like DJing, but as a director, like a movie director, trying to put something together. And it just happens that when you're in a live space where people think these things happening by coincidence,
Right.
they're not happening by coincidence. They're not 100% planned, but you leave enough space for spontaneity where the universe comes and make things happen that look like magic.
In the moment when you're performing?
In the moment
Yeah,
when you
and
perform.
a lot of times, most performers would probably miss it, but Machel's paying attention. Like
Yeah.
there's a story from this carnival where we were going so hard that he lost his voice before one of our big, huge performances, like high ticket paying price audience. And they're expecting a performance from Machel, and his voice is gone.
Yo, as a manager, my heart just dropped to my stomach right now. Hearing that.
Nobody would know what I feeling like. He was cool. I was like
panicking,
shitting bricks. And so I had to immediately call the engineers, call the band, say, yo, put all my lead vocals in. You put the lead vocals up loud. Take my mic down.
We got background vocalists on the side
People
of the stage
singing who are friends. So I was like, yo, sing for me. You know these songs? If I say this, say 1, 2, right? And we had all of that happening, but it lasts 5 minutes, 8 minutes. By the 12th minute, it had people in the front of the audience watching me like, we can't hear you. They're not feeling that intimate connection. And from there, it started going in a bad place, but I had to figure it out. I guess that's the part of the story.
So basically, there's this song that was Road March last year, Party.
Yes.
And we were already on this big campaign, and this woman kind of took the song and she's performing it out in a party herself. The song took a life of its own. People owned it as their own. So she's doing it, and this viral video goes out of her singing the song, and Machel sees her in the audience. Most people, again, would just be in that moment. Think about what's going through your head. You lost your voice and all of this. He's like, savior, pulls her out of the audience and brings her on stage and makes her a part of it. And the nation already adopted her as like someone that they fell in love with because this song and this video went viral. So then she has the moment on stage where Machel and her meeting on stage, and she unplanned it. We couldn't
and she
plan
was
that.
talking about how hard she worked and left her job to come to this fete just to see me, and to come to the front of the stage just for me to see her.
Right.
She didn't know what was happening with me. It becomes this whole bigger thing that people will feel that you planned it.
Yeah.
But that's why I always say, be careful what you wish for, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to not know the outcome. People tend to not do something if I wouldn't get married because I don't want to get divorced. Or I wouldn't make this step because I don't want to lose my money. But sometimes if you make a step, you know what you want, so you have clarity. You're not sure, so you don't have full confidence. But what you could dream of is very limited. What you could dream of or wish for is related to the past, what you have experienced. It must be related to, in some way, to what you've experienced. But the universe could give you something way beyond what you could dream of if you just go.
Stay open to
take the risk.
Yeah.
Stay open. And I heard a lot of artists say things like this already. I couldn't believe that I would be sitting here today. And that experience has happened to me. Sitting in Guyana, watching 40,000 people in a stadium waiting for me, and all 2 miles of cars, traffic jam, and I'm the only artist. And I'm in my robe in my hotel room watching this, getting ready to go on stage. And I couldn't believe this is 30-something years later. And this is for me, the little kid who was in the band room just trying to sing in his friends' birthday parties. I would have never dreamed that. But yet here I am, and it happening. So it means that sometimes, you have to really, really plan 80%, but stay open for 10 and stay open for the next 10 to see what is there that is coming toward you.
Yeah,
that's what makes the live performance
That's a real
special.
entertainer, I think, like being present. And
knowing that the audience is just as important a part of this performance.
They're everything.
And that's why, like the Grateful Dead, right? We always talk about how the following and the
Grateful Dead.
People will go show after show after show after show because each one is tailored to the group of people that gathered that night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in the same way, you can see, and it happens, you said 7 nights, 16 shows. You'll
Fans.
have same people going to a lot of them. And then they'll fly to all the other countries, and it might be a similar set list, but the show is completely different.
That's what I was gonna say. Every show's different.
Always. Wow. For me, I will sit down every show. They will always ask me, what's the set list tonight? We have a set list WhatsApp group.
And not only that, the science of where Machel, like, because we have to fit it into different formats, 45-minute sets. We're on a festival, we have 30 minutes, or we have the promoter wants 2 hours. So Machel introduces, I use it for other artists now too. We time everything, like, so now we know segments, like, oh, and we can take this as a little module and plug it into this set list, and we know exactly how long it will take.
Yeah.
Right? So you're mapping out like a scientist these
I'll
set
put
lists.
40 songs on the set list and I'll know which 15 of them I do 2 minutes of, which 5 of them I do 1 minute of, and I'll just keep shifting, and boom, we land on 45 minutes every time, or 75 minutes every time. And I just know how to, but on certain nights, according to where I am, I'll do something different, and I'll do something that was not on the show, something that is new, or something that I know
Or something
will-
that's local.
and it always has to fit in. So it's always work.
Or even as I read something in the book where you did X-Tempo.
Yeah. Well, extempo is making up things and singing things on the
Freestyle,
spot.
basically freestyle, yeah.
But for me, every single show, I have the management team waiting on me. What's the set list for tonight? And I'll have to send it.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to try it out in soundcheck. And then they'll be like, should we print this?
Is
One
it
hour
ready?
before it should print.
Because it's gonna change.
And I'll be like, no.
You know what's gonna happen? The artists are gonna listen to this, and then they're gonna be like, "Well, if Machel does it, and
I
he's the
can do
king,
it.
then like, I can do it too."
But not only that, then we'll land in a certain place and be
Yeah.
like, oh, yo, Rihanna's side stage. Quickly get Bitch Better Have My Money in the set. And then we're gonna go into Soundbang. Or, okay, oh, Tyla's coming through, we're gonna bring her on stage. Like, all artists do that, but you know, the spontaneity of even that action happening.
Yeah.
Shout out Deputy, by the way, who did Like a Boss. Yeah.
For sure. And over the years too, I have watched the history of how soca used to be. Everybody used to start off with just percussion. Good evening. Are you ready to get on board? Hey, and they'll talk and then they'll start the song. And then they'll finish that song, bram, and everybody will clap, and then they'll start another song. I was the one who was like, song goes into song, goes into song, goes into song, and then stops and goes low, and then come back into another song. And then you can see everybody doing that pattern when it was never done before. You can see all the bands, all the artists adopting that style of, making their songs, the narrative of their lyrics go into one song, into the other. So it's something that you kind of like spread into the whole, community and everybody learning from it, and it makes for a more exciting and more personal experience of that individual artist when you see them doing their thing.
Do you ever think about it that you are truly one of the architects of soca music?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Not only just think about it, but it wasn't my intention, but I realized when it was being bestowed upon me to lead it or to do it. So there was a certain level of responsibility that I had to accept and acknowledge. Hence the reason why I stopped drinking. The reason why I stopped smoking.
How long ago was that?
2018.
Okay, yeah.
And never look back. Never look back. And even the decision to take on yoga and to eat right is deeply rooted in the fact that I know I have to function at a really high level to make sure I am, generating the right influence.
Right.
Being seen as somebody who can work hard, being seen as somebody who will take risks, being seen as somebody who will try different things. And that is the whole point about me, walking away from this being like if it's just a party or just fun and games. Mm-hmm. I know the responsibility of it, but sometimes you have to acknowledge that and own it. Because that's the only way you will, really stand up to the task.
To the test, to level up to it.
Yeah, to level up and to be accountable to your own self and your own behavior and your own actions.
Oddly enough, when I hear you talk, I hear a man who has most people wouldn't think this, but I hear a man that has a very balanced life in many ways.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Balance is the most important thing that I have gained.
I don't know how Machel has the time, but he's up to date on all the TV shows. He's living that life, listening to the new music from all the islands, but also working at a certain level.
I know what happened in Grenada. I know what happened in Barbados. I know what happened in St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Antigua.
What's happening
Jamaica,
right now?
Right? I'm watching what happened in the NFL right now. I know what happened in US Open in tennis, NBA. All right? I know what happened on multiple levels.
Yeah.
I'm watching the universe. I watch CNN. I am just observing. I spend a lot of late nights looking at a lot of different things. It's knowledge. It's just, I call it, the more attention you pay to life is the more attention life will pay to you. You are life itself. So if you look at life long enough, you observe life a lot, you pay attention, you be interested, you'll start expanding and becoming part of that thing. And that is it for me. I always learning something new, you know?
Yeah.
And having that
Yeah.
bird's eye view, you know, like being able to separate
NASCAR,
The hummingbird.
WWE.
all of it.
I mean, that's crazy. WWE is a really good example, though. I mean, because that business is.
We were talking about that today.
There's
Oh,
a
man,
new
don't get me
Netflix
started.
behind the scenes, and we were like, the way that they develops narrative, build characters, market,
Yeah.
and
We
move
watching
tickets.
we
and-
watching documentaries on Netflix, Hulu, HBO.
What's documentary you watching right now?
Right now, I'm watching SEC football on
Okay.
Netflix. That's the
Okay.
schools
Yeah,
football.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I just finished watching the second season of Quarterbacks with Joe
would've never
Burrow
guessed that.
and
because you
and
got
wide receivers. I starting to look at music from a sports point of view. The way they manage their business,
Yeah.
the real athletes, like I could see the professionalism of the NFL versus the SEC, how they manage themselves, how they people like LeBron James, how much money they spend on recovery and keeping their body in check, and all these things are things that I'm studying because I say, Che, we should bring this to music. This is what our soca industry need. We need to help them to know how to live healthily, how to, you know, be energized, how to be grounded, how to be balanced, because we need to work harder to break our genre or to go out there in the world and do something. So you look at all these things to kind of try to gain that knowledge and see where people excel and why.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, everything that
High
you said to
levels.
that. Yeah, it's basically what it comes down to is just watching it as much as you possibly can and gaining as much information from all these different sources. It doesn't have to be music.
I'm still watching Rolling Thunder with Bob Dylan, that documentary.
All right.
Still watching Miss Americana, Taylor Swift. Still watching Beyonce. You know,
our plan
and
is
you read too. That's it.
oh, well, don't talk about books.
We talk about books on this podcast a
No,
little
talk
bit.
about
I do
books.
need to know what you are reading right now.
I
if
don't
you don't
want
mind me.
I don't want to see what I read right now. People might be spooked up, but I'm reading the book called Death by Sadhguru.
Okay.
And the most amazing thing, I read all Sadhguru books
Yeah.
on spirituality. I have a lot of books on spirituality. I was just sharing one with one of my artist friends, Choppy, yesterday, called The Life You Were Born to Live by Dan Millman.
Okay.
And it's where you add up your birth dates and they tell you, you know, your strengths and your weaknesses. And, you know, he was blown away. And I've been reading that book for like 10, 15 years and sharing it with everybody. I had to dust it out, you know, this week to
Reread it.
share it with him.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm reading Death. And that was the last Sadhguru book for me to read. And, you know, everybody was kind of like, why you want to read about death? Why you want to read about death? But I'm learning so much about life reading this book. It's
Right.
such an interesting perspective to understand that death is a major part of life. You know, the dead leaves in the soil is what give us that organic material for life to grow. You know, and you understand it, and it's the one thing that we guaranteed is gonna happen to us. Why not know more about it and being scared about it?
and the biggest thing is
know?
everyone's
That's interesting. Yeah.
fearful of death. So if you just face it, you know, part of the book talks about this area in India, Varanasi, where they cremate bodies. It's just one after the next after the next. Hundreds of bodies a day are coming to this place and they're just burning them and then putting the ashes in the water. And it says, go sit there and spend a day and just watch. Face it. Face
Wow.
your fear. Because everything we're scared of roots back to
To
that.
the fear of death. Everybody say, I'm scared to lose my job. Why are you scared to lose your job? Because I'll have nowhere to work. And if you have nowhere to work, what will happen? I'll have no money. And if you have no money, I won't be able to feed myself. And then I'll die. It always comes down to being scared that you will lose something, that you'll die, and you'll lose your life. And I just feel like, you know, sometimes knowing that losing your life could not be that bad, or it's not something that you should be scared of. Understand that it will happen at some point. But then it starts to point you back to, how do I enhance my life so that I take care of it so that I know that I am actually mortal. I'm not
Right,
immortal,
right.
and I don't have all that time. When you know you have a limited amount of time, you start to make wiser decisions with your time.
That's part of one of the reasons if you ever see those sadhus, they wear that ash all over them.
Yeah.
It's because that's death, right? And they're
They
putting it
want
on
to be
them
reminded.
to remind themselves to be like, we are mortal and let's utilize this time in the most effective way.
I never liked reading books.
No?
I couldn't understand why people read books. And then one day, somebody gave me a copy of The Alchemist. And I know a lot of people saw, and I just understood that here is a little kid
Yeah.
doing alchemy with his life. And I thought that was me.
That was you.
And ever since then, I realized it's not about reading, it's about what you're reading. I like
Yeah.
reading things that talk about, self-help and how to advance yourself and how to raise the potential of the human being.
Yeah.
That's how I got into yoga, because I understand that this is the science of being, and that knowledge is not something they teach us in school. We don't learn it in church. We don't learn it at work. And sometimes we hardly learn it at home. But the knowledge is there for you. And that has made the most significant difference in my life and how I function today. I become more balanced.
Well, my understanding as well too is that you perfectionist, the procrastinating perfectionist.
Procrastinating perfection.
What does that mean, by the way?
That is somebody who is never sure that this is the best, but wanting it to be the best. So It's
Okay.
like an echo in a feedback loop. You're never satisfied. You're always positively dissatisfied.
Positively
But also it
dissatisfied.
means sitting in a studio for 3 hours listening to boom versus boom, boom versus boom. Like, no one else in the room
you
can
know
hear
who
the
you would
difference.
love for that? T-minus.
True.
He told me the same thing.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like, it's my favorite part.
That's what everybody hated about with me. They didn't want to sit. That's what the bass player said. He said, look, listen, I'll go to New York in 1997. I'll be there with Ole,
shit.
but I can't take that boop, 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 pop, 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 trying to find one kick and one snare. And I was like, all right, I'll do that when you're not there,
When you're not.
right? But the thing about it is, this is the essence of life. The essence of life is an exponential curve. You have the X and the Y axis, and you're always going like this, close, 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 but never touching. Close, 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 but never touching. That is an asymptote. It means that the potential of the human being is infinite. And it is
talk about that.
it's infinite and it's eternal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So 1 minute in 1990 something, we had Carl Lewis running 10 point something, he was like the greatest. And then all of a sudden, 10 years later, Usain Bolt, 9 point something.
Yeah.
One day we look at somebody running 8 point something.
For sure.
That is the beauty of life. There is no end and there is no limit.
Yeah.
So keep pushing.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that.
There's really-
It's different, like really, because you said this, it's like, you feel like your body is it, right? But then when you go and you push a little bit, we talk about John and Connor, for example. They got to see you guys that couple of weeks and we're like, oh, they're aliens.
He's an alien.
They
He's
went
an
back
alien.
and said bad things in Toronto about me.
Maybe a little. I'm joking. But what it did though for them is it expanded their energy as well too, just by being around that, right? Because it shows, oh, there's another human being that has a whole other level of like operating. That's a fascinating thing to see.
And it's really good when you lock in with this kind of relationship, because the things that he might be pushing me to do are the things that I hesitant to do.
Yeah.
And the things that sometimes he
And someone
doing,
who's so aligned.
I might have to pull him back, or sometimes
Right.
I push him.
And that only happens if you guys are aligned and know each other
And trust each other.
and trust each other.
And
exactly.
it is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible that people like that exist if you're being as honest,
Right.
if you're being as vulnerable, and if you're being as real with the person. Look, this is what I want. These are my weaknesses, or these are my fears, or these are my insecurities.
Yeah.
How can we overcome that? Because we have to overcome it.
What are, if you don't mind me asking, some of those fears that you've had over the years or insecurities that you had?
Well, look at this one. I always have this saying that, I was like, look, I'm not the best dancer. I'm not the best singer. I'm not the greatest musician. I'm not the best writer or producer, but I could do just enough of each one and I could go there and do something, you know? And I used to say this for so many years and really try to tell people that, you know, I can't sing like that. You know, I can't sing like Michael Jackson or sing like Chris Brown or sing like Rihanna, but I could, you know, and I used to slowly understand who I am by understanding who I'm not. And I bring it down to, there is this energy that I have, this energy of love and unity and you know, just spreading that to the audience that is unique to me. But one day, in that same documentary, in some documentary, after me saying this so many times, I heard my mom saying it to somebody in an interview. She was like, well, he's not the best dancer. He's not the best. And every time she was saying it, it was like a dagger in me. I was like, But then quickly I realized she only repeated what she heard me say. And that's one of the best things Che ever did for me in 2018.
Crazy.
When I wanted to take a break from 2017, actually 2017, I wanted to take that break. I went to India with Che and he took me to this beach. The beach was 2 hours long. You could take 2 hours to walk it. And I would walk it for an hour and not see another human being. And I was in a little hut that Che and them gave me to live on the front of the beach by myself. And they were in a big house in the back. And he gifted me his mentor from Toronto for that 2 weeks to help me with what I was going through.
Who's that?
To be young.
To be young. His mentor, a black young woman, mother of 2 children, bald head, spiritual, with her own spiritual philosophy.
She had a methodology that she uses for artistic development and human
I
development.
couldn't dream this up. She showed me the 7 chakras in the body. That this was your crown, this was your third eye, which is your orality, this is your voice, your community, this is your heart, your rhythm, this is your solar plexus, your energy, this is your sacrum, and this is your root. And the most important thing was when she was hitting, like, this is the government, this is how the rules by which you govern this universe, this little universe. And then she was like, this orality is the stories that you tell, or the stories that are told to you your entire life about yourself. And then it rang to me. My entire life, I'm saying, I'm not the best singer, I'm not the best dancer. And I'm actually telling this story to the point where other people start telling this story. And I had to really, really stop telling that story or stop saying that to myself and start to look now for my spots. Every leopard has unique spots and they could look like faults, but those unique spots are the spots that make you individual, make something that you could do different from what anybody else could do. And I started looking at it like that instead of looking like what I couldn't do as like, what do I do? Who am I? What am I? But it took all these things and that kind of spiritual journey and that kind of going inward and that kind of him helping me with his community and his mentor, who I didn't expect to be this woman. And, you know, sitting down on the beach, I came back to Trinidad with one of the biggest road marches and the best songs of my life, Soca Kingdom. You know, these guys brought this song to me and I know how to work it and I sampled Super Blue and I spent months and it was one of the biggest outpourings of music and shifted music in a way that up to this day, a lot of these soca songs coming out of this part is, you know, curated from that style.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, build up, big drop, boom, mash up the place.
The craziest thing is her methodology is born out of dub poetry in Jamaica.
Okay.
Right? So she built her entire methodology. So it's coming from the Caribbean soil and it's coming back in India.
And steeped in some of her African
roots, yeah.
knowledge too. And she's a strong, you know, woman in terms of her ancestral knowledge. But it's a bit of yoga, it's a bit of meditation, it's a bit of real life. And for me, that helped me to focus into, I was lost in 2017. I was burnt out. I mean, 2011, 2010.
Yeah.
I was lost.
Right.
And I went on tour with Pitbull. And I took time off. I came back in Trinidad and performed one show with Beyonce. You know, Beyonce was here. One big show with Beyonce. Opened up for her. And then I decided, okay, I got back my spirit. 2011, I came out. One Road March 2011, One Road March 2012. 2013, got beat by Super Blue. That was a weak year for us. Pick back up ourselves. 2014 road march, 2015 road march, 2016 road march.
Big road
Burnt
marches.
out. 2017 again, we was crashing. Had to go back in, come back out. 2018 road march, 2019 road march. And then 2020, I start recognizing that this is a pattern of going in and burning out and going in and burning out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to switch off the lights for myself. I'm going to get married. Everybody was pissed at my wife thinking she's the one taking me. I was like, in 2020, I'm going to stop. I'm going to switch off the lights. No more Machel Monday. I'm going to go back to school because I want to go forward and to know where I'm going. I want to know where I'm coming from. I want to see what is the real history of Soca and Calypso and Pan and Mass. And I went back to school. And with that knowledge, I was able to come out and achieve something I never thought I'd be able to achieve, win Calypso Monarch. I thought that time had gone and passed. That was another dream I could have never dreamed of. I was wishing for it, but I couldn't see the
really?
path.
Yeah.
I wish I had done it.
Really?
I wish I had a Calypso Monarch under my belt for the majority of my career.
Okay.
But there was no path to go back and do that.
Yeah. Wow.
And suddenly, by taking a break, studying the process, understanding, the path just presented itself, and it was the easiest, simplest thing to achieve.
I left at that point to go take 90 days of silence in India. And we had agreed, okay, there's nothing, I can do it now because he's not doing Carnival.
I'm taking you off.
He's
I'm not
taking
going
the
to
year
do
off.
nothing,
I was
Che.
like,
So you go and do
perfect
your
time,
90 days of
right?
silence.
We planned, so even though there's no planning, there's a lot of planning that happens.
Sure.
So we decided that
8 months max.
that's the window, right?
Yeah.
Our planning happens like we'll be in the car driving for
Right
an
away.
hour in between somewhere. We're sitting here making all our plans. But we know
Last night we was doing that. Today going to the airport,
Yeah.
we doing that.
we know.
By the way, I remember seeing his Instagram post of 90 days. So that was
Yeah.
like,
yeah. So, and you're like,
This is very Che.
a lot, but a lot of people would also be like, how the hell are you going to do that when
Yes.
Carnival is coming up? The only reason was because he's taking it off.
Right.
The day I come out of
Not talking to
silence,
anybody.
I go on Instagram to first check Machel's page and see what he's up to. And there's a whole song rollout. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
this man's got a song out. And I listened to the song and I loved it. I was like, this is the kind of music I want him to, because he was talking about Soca, talking about himself. It's kind of like, it was really him. It wasn't a songwriter being like, this is a song for the road. It was like a story for him that reached the people too, right? So
This song was a realization that all of what happened to me in my life is exactly what is happening to life.
yeah.
And how it relates to the geography that I have been occupying. Soca, Calypso, the Caribbean, the transformation, my journey, the elders, the ancestors, Africa, India. It was just all
sick.
I
Listen
always
to
think
that
of
song.
the Matrix movie and think of like if somebody just plug in something and load the jump program into me, and I got it. And I was able to express that with kids and teens and elders on one performance on stage. That was just
Very good.
truth.
I love that. I love that. I watched it the other day. It was really,
Yeah.
really good. That was amazing. That also full circle for you because you told your folks that you didn't want to pursue school, and then you go and you graduate and you get a master's in Carnival Studies, which is an incredible part of the story as well. Because also it shows kids like as well how important education and school is.
for sure.
I always tell them, school is not about getting an education to go and get a job. Education is about learning how to learn. You're just learning how to learn. You learn how to learn anything. How to learn your camera, how to learn lights, how to learn how to speak. If you pick up a book and you want to learn drums, you learn how to learn these drums. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're just learning how to learn. And sometimes I had to learn the history of this to understand the presence of me, of why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm loving it, why it is the way it is. So it's not really the history. Time disappears. It's actually the history, the past, and the past, the present, and the future that you're learning about.
People know I took 90 days of silence, but he took 7 months. The King of Soca went to India and became a volunteer.
Oh, that's right.
Became a volunteer for 7 months, and with his partner, his wife, who became a yoga teacher.
When I switched the lights off in 2020, COVID happened.
Right.
2 years prior to that, I was getting this feeling of building a wooden house in the jungle.
Okay.
It just so happened that this wooden house in the jungle happened just in time for COVID. And I had a wife, and the two of us could go in that house in the jungle, in the wood, in the trees, while everybody locked down inside, we outside roaming, eating fruit, swimming in the ocean, because it was prepared. But at that point, I said to her, this is not just a moment to rest. I feel like this is a moment to improve a skill. You couldn't go anywhere to study music. It wasn't about going to study school yet. It was going to study the being. And I said, we have to go to India. And the biggest challenge was COVID was happening. India was the hotspot on the news where people were dying on the side of the street every day. Right. It was scary. And worse yet, I didn't want to take the vaccine. I was an anti-vaxxer. But then I realized what was more important. They wouldn't let us go to India to learn this meditation. We were able to go and live in the ashram if we were vaccinated. And I had to quickly make a decision and sell my entire team on, let's get vaccinated, because this was this important. And it just so happened Trinidad was getting the vaccines that were closest to the vaccine that we got as kids. The one where they would, take a real piece of the vaccine and do something to it and put that in you. It wasn't mRNA or whatever they call it. Yeah. It was none of that. So it was like these conscious decisions to make this choice, because I know that we had to go to India. And I had a willing partner who was willing to go with me. Mm-hmm. And we went there and lived there for 7 months. Changed my life again. The very change that happened in 2018 on the beach, spending 1 month in India, is the same change that happened in 7 months, or even a greater level of change that changed my life forever.
Those reinventions that you go through in your life, they're never predetermined, it seems. It's just, it comes to you at a certain point. Right?
It's an opportunity that shows up, and something in your mind telling you, take this risk and retreat. It's always a part of you want to retreat.
Have you ever resisted?
Well, there's always a part of you resisting because you have FOMO, fear of missing out, or you don't want to go, or you're scared you'll be. So this is why I say it's always good when you have somebody who will go with you. Uh-huh. But there are times when you have to go it on your own. And I did this many times. I did this in New York, I did this in the Bahamas. I went to ashram in the Bahamas. I did this in the jungle in Trinidad. I have been doing this ever so often, every 3 to 4 years in my life, just retreating and going somewhere where I'll have to be by myself. I'll have to look within. I'll have to actually abandon beliefs that I had built up. Belief systems that I had built up, some things that I was firmly believing in.
The dogmas.
They had to drop.
Wow. Yeah.
And I learned that sometimes when you build these beliefs up, they're really walls to protect you. And then those same walls that you build up to protect you, they become prison walls that you can't get out of.
Right,
and you have to break down those belief systems to kind of go to expand, to become somebody who thinking of a new way of doing something. And I always come back out with a new way of doing something, or a new energy to try something different.
Tiny desk.
Yeah.
Fire. Something new.
The new. First ever. So good.
I need to.
Something new, and Che nagging my ass. Like,
to do it.
To do it. He like,
you didn't want to do it?
I didn't want to do it. I didn't think I was ready.
Yeah, we got asked to do verses and he didn't want to do it.
Would you want to wait till the 44th year to do it?
During the COVID, I was asked to do verses. I would have been one of the people.
I read this, yes.
I wanted to do that.
You
wanted to do
it?
Yeah, of course.
Against?
Huh?
Against?
It would have been Bungie.
It would have been Machel and Bungie. And I just felt at this time I wasn't in battle mode. I wasn't in war mode.
Yeah.
I just was feeling that what Soca needed at that point was more unity than clashing.
Fair.
And I just said this to Swiss Beats.
I was gonna say, what did you say to Swiss?
I said that to him, and he said, "Yo, we coming back."
He's like, "Now's the time. Are you ready now?
Coming back?"
Yeah, and I don't even know if I'm ready to battle, but for me, I'll just do it for fun. But the most important thing is, with that tiny desk, she was like, "Yo, 2 years prior."
I hit Tiny Desk a long time ago and said,
like,
"Yo, we had never had
opportunity.
Soca. We need to do this." And we've been talking about it.
You saw that. You saw the vision.
And those are some of the things that I would employ Che to do. innovative, smart business. Put
Yes.
us in the places that we need to be. He will go out and he will automatically know this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And I'll say, yeah. Sometimes I'll go and say, Che, this is what I want to do. And so we'll be going. But the tiniest one is I didn't think we were ready. I wasn't ready. He wanted to do it during Carnival. He wanted to do it sometime. And it just so happened that I chose to do my birthday at Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
Which was another big one. And he was like, could we sell it out? And he was like, yeah, let's try. And he was like, while we there, on the same day, Tiny Desk
On the
was
same day.
And I just look at him. Che will ask me some things that I know he will fully accept and know. But you ever see that?
Yeah, the puppy
The,
dog.
the,
the puppy,
you ever
the
see
puppy
the
dog
kitten,
guys,
the
kids?
kitten in Puss in Boots when they look up and look at
And Shrek? Yeah.
I think it's time to do this.
The eyes start doing
The eyes start doing that. He's like,
I always start the thing like, you can say no, but
and I will just know in him that, yeah, I think we should do this.
How'd you know?
of course,
Well,
Machel, that's a no-brainer.
Not
Like,
really, because
What do you mean?
Well, because here's the thing: a lot of power soca, and it's stripped down,
Yeah.
so it's different.
I know.
So to like hard, I would have.
Something that I wasn't
It's
prepared
not
for.
super.
I know
so I'm
he's a
saying-
genius, a
He know I
creative
can
genius, a
handle
it.
musical director, like a curator, everything. All you need to do is put those two entities together and it will be magic, and it will have such a ripple in this region.
So good.
Che,
If you haven't had the opportunity to watch
Mauricio.
the Tiny Desk with Machel Montano, you must go watch it. It is incredible.
Mauricio, Che is the parent who will take you on the edge of the cliff, the 90-foot cliff, until they dive in the water, and you'd be like, nah, I can't do that. And he'd
You
just
can do it.
show. That's
Even
like-
up till last night, we were doing something we can't
way.
really talk about, but it worked out perfect. Because
And he was like-
he's always like, I can't do that, or I won't, that's not my style. I don't do. I'm like, when you're in those positions, you not only excel, you thrive in it. Like you're the best in the class. Like,
Just last night, he was like, you see, I know you say you don't like, look how good he is. And I was like, yeah, but, and that's the relationship, to take those kind of risks. Tiny Desk, if Che didn't push me in that direction, we'd be doing shows with drum machines, backing vocals. We had to strip out all the drum
Yeah.
machines, backing vocals, everything. At the last minute, we were practicing with a click on the first day.
Oh,
By
were
the
you?
second day, they set us no click.
Oh, you can't have click.
So we now have to figure out ways how we're gonna conduct this tempo with no click.
we were trying to find the day of watches that had little was it
Yeah.
metronome
Yeah.
beats.
And in the end of the day, we just had to just go like that and make it happen.
But
And
that's what Tiny Desk is about. It's an authentic, real experience. That's what they want. And there's nothing realer than Machel with a group of musicians. He's been doing it for 42 years or
and the joy.
And you had a live horn too. Yeah.
Watch me, the
Dope.
joy that the musicians felt, that experience,
it.
the experience meant something for the people doing it, more than we were doing it for somebody.
Yeah.
That is the joy that comes to me and registers the most. I know about the audience joy, but for the actual participants to be feeling joy, I know they haven't felt that in a long time because we be so robotic, doing the same thing over and over, rinse and repeat. We on tour, show after show. We don't get to be loose.
Right.
know?
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
try
yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
so many performances.
It does become routine, so you get a different experience there. Yeah.
We did it in Mexico at this festival that we had called Melee. Imagine a Tiny Desk, but for like 2.5 hours with storytelling in between.
What's it called?
Melee.
Melee. Okay.
And I knew, like those people will talk about that performance on that beach forever.
Yeah.
Right? So format that in 20 minutes, of course. And the problem was there's too many good songs. It's like, how do you select
Yeah.
the songs?
Well, because it's 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's
And then
18
everybody
minutes.
will say you chose
You
the
did.
right songs. How did you do that? Da, da, da. You have to go in and think and really focus and go in a quiet space and the answers will come, you know?
I don't know how you find the time to find a quiet space, but I mean, man, it's incredible.
Up to this
The
day, we were
ability.
just on a flight coming here in the lounge, 7 minutes of Miracle of Mind meditation, 15 minutes of Isha Kriya before we get on the flight. Like, there is time. People think that there's not enough time.
Yeah.
Think about how much time you're just scrolling on your phone.
Yeah, right
You know
there.
what I mean?
is
I
a
have
couple
to
hours
make
right
the
there.
time.
I say this to people. I say, do this meditation, 7 minutes. It's an app by Sadhguru, Miracle of Mind. And they'll be like, I don't know if I have that time. I'll be like, look, a day, how many minutes are in a day?
Can't tell you.
See, nobody thinks about it. 24 hours, 60 minutes, 1,440 minutes. You have to pay attention to it to really want to understand. It's 1,440 minutes. You can't take 7 and have 1,433. You understand? For the rest of the day. And when you think about it and break it down in that sense, then you realize, okay, I could dedicate myself to this. But you will realize that that silence or that stillness is the basis for all your activity. The more you could keep still is the more energy you have to be active. The more you stay silent is the more energy you have to be vocal.
This is where I like reading about you, having this conversation now for the last couple of hours. People will say that there's other reasons maybe as to why you've gone to this Soca Mafia thing or whatever. And it's just like, if you just watch this and listen to this conversation, you can see that it's no such thing. This is just, you are constantly, for you to tell me how many minutes there are in a day, lets me know the level of focus that you have and attention. Yeah, and precise you are, right?
But I lived for 50 years and I never did that math.
Okay.
Only when I met 7 minutes of meditation and I started doing it, then I was conscious enough to realize, count the minutes. How much percentage of my day is this really that I don't have the time to do it?
Yeah.
I do. That's why I haven't missed it for the last 167 days. I've been doing it.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
Wow.
And you know, this is the thing. People talk about you when they don't come and sit next to you and get to know you.
I know. Yeah.
They don't know. And
so they're gonna come up with whatever.
They will come up with whatever they think, and sometimes, most of the times, they projecting. Let me just leave it there. You know, I don't want to take it in a negative way, but they're projecting.
Yes.
And I love the experience of meeting somebody, spending time with them, and they not realizing that this is who you are, but they learned it. And in that experience, they could have read about me. Here lies Machel Montano. He did this, he went to this school, he did this, he achieved this, he achieved this. That's not gonna make you know me. But if you sit with me and you feel me and you hear me and that's what you'll take away for the rest of your life. The essence of my being.
Machel will be sitting on a flight with someone, right? Have a whole thing to edit before a show, whatever. But they spark up a conversation. The entire flight, he'll be in deep conversation with them, giving them whatever they want to talk about the entire time. That's the character, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of other people would just be like, headphones, focus, their own thing. But no, be your highest expression of self and share it with others. You have to live that mission. You can't just speak on that. So if the person next to you on a flight is engaging in that way,
you have to share.
You have to share.
Fascinating. As a manager, how are you managing this? And, you know, because some people will say he's got to edit something or he's got to work on something, but you allow this energy to happen.
I don't know how. Machel knows his responsibilities and has never missed an assignment. He is the...
No, I mean, you allow that within yourself to stay calm. How are you doing that as a manager?
I'm just a calm person. There's nothing... When my dad died, I walked into my house with my sisters and my mom bawling their eyes out, and I just walked in calm. I said, everything will be okay. Whole energy shifted. You know what I mean? It's just, that's how I was born. I don't know. It's just, nothing is that, in this grandness of this universe, nothing is that significant, right? So, but knowing that you're working with people that you understand them, you trust them, you respect them, you love them, you know that they're gonna deliver when it needs to be done. So why would I be freaking out about that? He knows more than anyone what he has to get done, right? So I'm never gonna be there like, oh, Machel, you have to get, yeah, sometimes I'll remind him certain things, but he already's got it all clocked.
That's one of the most beautiful parts about this manager and artist relationship that we have. Che is never set on the outcome. He's always set on the journey and always set on my comfort. He always seeks that as the highest thing. You know, there would be things that I have to get done and my parents would be like, I have to make sure you get done and I don't want to do them. And you're scared sometimes to go and tell your parents you don't want to go to school today because they'll cut your ass. You're scared to go and tell them I lost all my money in my wallet. You're scared because of what the outcome will be. I'm never scared to tell Che, yo, I'm not feeling to do this today, or Che, my leg out, I can't perform tonight, but this is the problem. Because I always know he will be calm.
And
he will be cool, and he wouldn't care if we can't go, we can't go. If
and
we
we'll
don't
come
do
up
it,
with
we
a
don't-
solution. There will be a solution.
There
There's
is
always a solution.
no other person on the planet that will just be accepting of whatever. And I really, I don't want to use the word believe. In my experience, I feel that these are things that you bring in to this life. You come with it.
Right.
You either have it in your nature and you could enhance it, or you could learn it from somebody else. I think he has that in his nature, and I think I have that, and that's where we gel.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've just like, yeah, like I also just know that there is some grace around the work that's happening because it's coming from a very pure intention.
Yeah.
And the purpose of it is pretty divine, I feel like, in the work that Machel is delivering to the world, that there is a grace around us that people conspire around. Like we show up late to a flight, they're opening it up for like things just happen in a way where just because we're like, yo, it's all good and just go with an energy where we will make it happen.
The
You know?
universe is
just
conspiring.
deliver.
Yeah, for you guys and the energy that you have. Speaking of which, I mean, I read in the book where this next decade is looking to go, potentially. I know you don't plan out that far in advance, but I mean,
The
I
thing,
saw
I don't know,
some-
you keep saying that, but we have like a 500-year plan, you know,
Yeah.
5,000-year plan.
I'm only just saying that
Five
because you guys are
lifetime.
telling me that.
A 5 lifetime plan,
A
yeah.
5 lifetime
No,
plan.
but yeah, I know.
Tell
what
me the
you-
1 lifetime plan. What's in the near future then, if you can, if you may?
I mean, right now we want to do a body of work that is reflective of our greatest aspiration.
Yeah.
We want a sound that will, you know, touch and reach people in our highest form of our art, which is love, care, joy. You know, we just want to spread something. And music, visual art is the form that we have. That's the talent that we were given. And this thing that we have focused on, we want to make works reflective of that. We have been doing it, but we have visions of the highest level that we would like to achieve. And even if we hit that, we know there's still going to be something else. But in this period of time, we want to make an album. We want to pull away from, you know, the everyday grind, and we want to go in the jungle, in our places that we have built to bring musicians, writers, producers, dancers even, visual artists, graphic artists. We have a strategy room. We have a yoga hall built. We have a dining hall. We have a movie place we could watch documentaries. We want to bring people there for a period of time, or over a period of time. We want to bring them in for periods of times in groups, and we want to create. We want to create something that we feel will touch the world, like what Bob did and what John Lennon did, and, you know, what the greats have done. Because, you know, we know that work like that is in us. We have seen glimpses of it, but we feel we haven't had the real time to do it in the way we want to do it. And we have been, you know, they say build it and they'll come. We have been physically building it. We have been spiritually building it. We have been mentally building it. And we have been building the resources, the human resources of teams and people who want to do that with us. That's the next step. It's going to take time.
Sure.
It's going to take space. And it's going to take risk, because we all have families. We all have bills. We all have, you know, agendas that been happening. But you have to be brave enough to walk away. And then you have to figure out a way to get all these people to want to do it together too, because it's a mission that doesn't want to be achieved by one. It needs a group.
Yeah. Going back to the group effort, because if you
Group
have
effort.
the right people, then you can achieve really, truly anything.
I think, you know, where our collective vision is our long term is community. We want to build communities around the world that are connected, both with technology, but in physical places.
Yeah.
There's some being built already. There's plans to build others. You know, going back to like what my mission was with Manifesto and trying to I feel what I was lacking in that is that I was always like, I wish there was an artist messenger that was leading this. We had an infrastructure and we had all sorts of artists a part of it, but there wasn't like one messenger carrying it. The way I would sometimes liken like a...
It was you in many ways.
Yeah, but
you weren't an artist.
But I
performer.
wish
You
I
weren't-
could
yeah.
perform or
Right.
do something,
Right.
in a way that could deliver it to millions of people, right? The way that the OVO movement would build with a Drake, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
or something
Or
like
alternative
that.
concept, Machel Montano.
Yeah, like, or-
For
that-
sure.
Yeah.
And
You need a messenger, but
Yeah.
more importantly, you need a message. So that message is the power of music. What we do is music. In songs, one song could be that song. One
way- yeah.
love, one heart, let's get together and feel alright. And that could be that one man. But if you really look, there was Peter Tosh, there was Bonnie Wheeler, there was the Barrett Brothers, the I-Trees, Rita Marley,
Coming out of that energy,
many-
a whole movement can build around it. So, yeah, I think right now, in terms of soca, Machel always talks about working on the sound of soca, evolving that sound, exploring the world, Afro beats, reggaeton, what's going on in India. How do we bring all of those elements, travel, spend time in those places with those creators, and then bring them back here and invite them into this context so they can experience it and write this next chapter of the sound.
I said that energy as well, that positive energy that soca brings, it's needed now more than ever across the world. Just considering how divisive things are right now. And I feel like it's like, there's a real great opportunity for soca music to really touch truly all the corners of the
Second
globe.
person just said that. Somebody said that to us last night. And Che just reminded me that sometimes we joke about this, that, we think it's music right now, but we really trying to build communities where we can have the right nutrition happening, the right physicality happening, people healthy and people living, the right adventure, nature happening, the right, food security. We want to be able to build places where we can hang out, create, express ourselves, but we have music to do it in, and we will make videos and we'll make live performances, but we will also bring along younger people and we'll bring experienced people together in this movement of this thing.
It's a paradigm shift in the way that art is created, We're not trying to be in a closed room with a dark, all smoky at 3 a.m. You can make songs on the beach and in nature and be healthy.
It come back to a cliche where people ask you what you're really trying for, what you really want, and people say, well, I want world peace. But we want to build community. For some reason, I feel like we have lost community within ourselves.
A lot of these things here.
And you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we want to bring the coming of unity again. These devices are taking us away. We could either use that button, we could press one button and destroy the universe. Or we could press one button and talk to everybody and heal everybody and, communicate with everybody. So it's like, how do we use these things? And I feel that is the essence between the technology and the human being. You have the human being and you have the technology. They're not fighting against each other. They work in tandem. The thing in the middle that's gonna glue them together is the art. The art that could be created, that could be placed from the human being to the technology and go back into other human beings. That is the circular economy right there.
Is this something, it sounds like to me, no pun intended, but the manifesto, 43 years of your career where you are communicating to artists around the world. If there's one thing you could distill is bring back the community.
Is unity. That's what I said in 1982 in the interview.
Yeah.
The 9-year-old boy I was listening to this in 1984 on WBLS was saying that is what I will be doing in 20 years.
Wild.
That very thing, uniting the world through music.
Yeah. Definitely.
It sounds cliche, but you're really trying to unite this. You're trying to make people feel whole. You're trying to make you feel whole. I started off wanting to be loved. I wanted to be loved, and I over the years learned that can you be loved and be loved? And I started to realize it's not about wanting to be loved, but being loved. Because that is the source of your creation. That is the heart of your nature. Your nature is love. If you're really whole, if you're really full, as he said, of yourself, and understand that you are the best, you are perfect, just the way you are. There's no need to go outward to find something to prove to yourself. Just look. Just look at how magnificent this is. Look at what this could do. Look how unique it is. Once you start to be that love, it is contagious.
See, and what this conversation that we're having right now, this is what we want to put in the music.
Right.
So it's now working with people to have conversations. Like imagine we're sitting around a fire and you're just having this conversation. And then you got some of the top songwriters and poets. And it's going back to the Ashford Joseph, give the message to the messenger. They were giving you these, this is what we've always wanted to do, give the message to the messengers. These are the people that can reach, the masses, and the messages need to come in these conversations, and then we need to write it in melody. We need to find the right way to deliver it.
At 11, I thought my purpose in life was to develop soca music and make it successful and change it.
Right.
And I took on that purpose. But after a while, I started realizing that there are many different purposes that I could choose. The real purpose was to make this function at its highest potential. Because once this functions at its highest potential, anything is possible.
Everything is possible.
Everything.
and the limitless potential of how much, so when we met, I met someone who can operate at a higher capacity than me. And then we both met Sadhguru who can operate at a capacity. It's just like another example.
Right.
When you said John and Connor watched us and they grew, when we met Sadhguru, we expanded too. We're like, wow, you can be touching
140 million people.
in one broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They joke. They joke to me that you could come, Sadhguru met us and said, come to Mahashivaratri and sing. And I was like, ha ha ha, what kind of songs I have that I'll be able to sing? Then when I went to Yashram, he was like, maybe you could sing at Mahashivaratri. I was like, Che, stop
I had
playing.
a whole plan
Stop
from
playing.
the beginning.
That can't happen. I don't have those kind of songs. How would I, Machel Montano, the whiner boy and the jump and wave, go and do a spiritual concert in front of all these people with Sadhguru? And then coming closer to the end of the 7 months, they start really saying, we want you to perform. I immediately went into panic. But quickly when I realized that they're serious and I can't mess this opportunity up, I had to figure out, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
Okay, I could do Dance With You. Okay, I recorded one song, Come Awake With Them. Okay, I could do a soil song with somebody. And it just started to come together. I went out there and I did something that I did not even think I could have done. Carnival Tuesday, here I am in front of millions of people in India.
Right.
With fans back home telling me how special that was. Could not have made that up.
Never
no.
fails an assignment. When he was going there, I told everyone in the ashram, I was like, don't approach him about studio, nothing. But I'd already said, we're going to be in the studio. We're going to make songs for the Save Soil project. But I said, for the first couple months, nothing. Do not bring it up. And then a little bit later on, invite him to the studio on like month 4. We always knew Mahashivaratri was planned, right? And it was like slowly.
Plans are made. You gotta know sometimes till like when it's time to get you in.
But delivered to like, that is it. Sadhguru dancing to Dance With
I
You.
know, I saw
on
that.
stage,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
When-
you can't make that stuff up.
When I like to leave advice for people that work for me, right?
Yeah.
Especially younger people. When life not going the way you want it to go, a lot of people want to give up. Sometimes they want to give up on life itself.
Yeah.
This relationship that I thought was my everything don't want to be with me, so I don't want to live. This job that I thought I would have become is not happening, so I don't want to live. You don't have to give up on life. Just give up on what you think is life, what you want to do. Just go and lie down in the grass and do nothing. Just give up on doing anything and do nothing. And you will see, I was in an ashram doing nothing. Digging up plants, going in the soil, listening to Sadhguru speeches, translating, working here and there, swimming in the river. And then slowly but surely, I started to realize there is much more to life than what I want. And I could leave what I want and find other things. So you never have to give up on your life. Just give up on your lifestyle or give up on your life goals, and something else will come along if you just take a break. Just relax. Just chill.
Just chill.
And people
chill.
think they can't. In their mind, they're like, if I take 2 weeks off, everything will
gonna
crumble.
fall apart.
You take 2 weeks off, no one even noticed.
No, not at all. I'll leave it with this. For you, what does it mean to be recognized as the King of Soca?
For me, what does it mean to be recognized as the King of Soca? Different things at different times. In the beginning, they call it the King of Soca. You feel like, okay, I have reached my pinnacle. Sometimes you feel like, okay, I've worked hard enough. Then, 5, 6 years in, here comes the Prince of Soca. And they believe that prince will be the king. It comes, it goes. For people to say that about you, I am very humbled. I am very appreciative that they might say that or think that. But it's not something that I, take extreme joy in handling. I always say I take it as a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I will only repeat it because they said it and I understand what the responsibility is. It means you have to show up and represent for Soca and fly that flag and do your best. But you also have to not get caught up in knowing that there will be many kings and many queens.
Mm-hmm.
Sparrow was the king of Calypso. Kitchener was the king of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Calypso Rose was the queen of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And there were many more and will be many more. So this is a thing not to take too serious. Take it lightly, but understand the responsibility of it. Understand it is a reflection of what you have done and what you have to do.
Yes.
So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I understand what it is. It make you feel nice. But in an instant, it can make you feel scared. It can make you feel overwhelmed.
Right.
Okay? But just know, this is just a skin. It's just a sleeve on your phone. You can take it off and put a different color on tomorrow. Tomorrow it can be the king of pop. It can be the king of zest. It can be... Let's just not even try to really put too much energy on that and understand that it is reflective of what you have put in.
Yeah.
And you could always put in more.
Putting in, yeah.
Never satisfied. Positively dissatisfied with being.
Positively dissatisfied. Yes.
I want to be the emperor.
Of
the
that.
emperor of love.
Being beside the king, I would say a king's role in a community is to serve.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm always watching this man in service to everyone around him.
And I had a strong feeling that it was going to be in that direction, that's what it meant to you. I learned so much from these conversations that I have, and I'm honestly just in awe of what you guys have done, and I've taken away so much from this conversation, and I've learned so much. So I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much for spending this time, not only with me, but with people at home who get to watch this and get to really understand how your mind works, how a king's mind works. And for you as well, for making this happen, I really appreciate it, man. I know that you guys have been traveling, going from place to place, taking away time from your loved ones. And so I'm very thankful for this conversation, and it just means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Just understand is how the minds of humble servants work also. And we are just as grateful that you would take the time to come and do this, because you serve in your community too, which is the community that we believe in. Those who have to come those who have to learn, those who have to, this knowledge has to be shared with.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak and for asking these beautiful questions.
Oh, thank you, man.
Doing your deep research, you know certain things. You read that book in detail.
Casting it out there, man.
Of course, man.
Cast it out there
Anytime,
to the
man.
world.
I appreciate you, man.
Much love and respect.
Thank you. Much love. Much love.
Always.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, bro.